All right, I'm excited to see it.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another episode of Cardboard Hand. This one should be an exciting one as we have lots of news to go through today. Some big announcements in the hobby. Glory to Team Rocket. It's happening. It's happening. Everyone, get ready. I don't know. Were you prepared? I certainly wasn't, but that we might be getting a new Team Rocket set. We're going to talk a little bit about that. 151 reprint. Are they ever going to end? There was a time in this hobby when people were just begging. They were begging for more. And now it feels like they're begging the exact opposite. It's like, when will it end? And so, investors, are they getting cooked or are they cooking? 151 Japanese reprint. We're going to get into that. Also, there's a recent Lorcana championships these last couple of weeks that we didn't really touch in on. We've seen some of the first graded copies of those championship cards coming out. This really, really cool gold Mickey out of 500. PSA just put out a little special talking about that, and just a really cool card and really, really cool championship prizes. I want to talk a little bit about Lorcana there and what's cooking with that. And so that's a little sneak peek of this week. But before all that, how are we doing today, Nick? What's going on, man? How you doing? We haven't
Doing
talked
good.
for a while.
Excited for today's topics. We got some good ones. Definitely a lot been going on in the hobby over the past 2 weeks, and then like you mentioned, I think just yesterday there was the leak for the new Team Rocket set. I obviously knew this, years ago that this was going to happen, being that I am the leader of Team Rocket. But
Right.
no, man, like I'm super excited to talk about that and get into all the speculation and stuff on that. But it's been good, man. Just got back from Orlando Collecticon a week ago. Went and saw Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's been a busy couple weeks. The 151 reprint hit, so it's been yeah, it's been pretty wild. What's up with you? I know you went and did a show too.
Yeah, I just got back from Palm Springs. I snuck in a show to Palm Springs, which I've never been to. We went to, I think the last show was the Front Row Card Show in Pasadena, and that was a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks ago. Just got back from that. I was going to take a week off, get prepared for card party and everything coming up in Florida in another couple of weeks. I think it's on like the 14th or the 15th or something, in 2 weeks now. But I thought, what the heck? I'll go to Palm Springs. I can sneak in a card show. It's within driving distance to my friend, the Mexican hipsters. So JR hit him up. I was like, yo, you want to split a table? I've never been out there, so it's probably a smaller show, but might be worth it. See if the juice is worth the squeeze. So he said, sure, why not? And so we split a table, split a room out in the desert. I drove out, I hoofed it out. It's about 7.5 hour drive, which I was like, no big deal. I've driven farther for less. And we did a card show for the first time done by the East Bay Card Show, but it was their subsidiary sister company, the Palm Springs Card Show,
Wait,
because
wait,
they
really quick. Is it East Bay like the old? Do you remember as a kid getting those East Bay magazines that came with like all the like athleisure? Well, not, I guess not athleisure, like actual athletic stuff. Like they had basketball shoes and shorts, and like, did you ever get those magazines as a kid?
I didn't, but I don't know if there's an association. They're out of the Bay Area, but like the East Bay Area. So that's what I thought it was associated with. Like all their card shows are in the
Okay,
East
fair
Bay,
enough.
but they expanded down to Southern California because I feel like the owners of the card show, the showrunners of the card show, like hanging out in Palm Springs or something. So it's funny. Have you ever been there? Do you know of what Palm Springs is or whatever?
Yeah, like a little, like a long time ago when I was a kid. I just remember it's like very like old retiree in the middle of the desert type thing. Like it's not a very happening spot.
Okay, yeah. On the first night, I got there at like 7:30, right, and checked in the hotel. Drove. I got out a little late, and I left at noon at my house, and got there like maybe almost 8 o'clock. By 8 o'clock on Friday night, the whole town was shut down. The only food options that there were Del Taco and Carl's Jr. And I think there was like McDonald's, the usual McDonald's, Taco Bell, but the only more interesting ones were like Del Taco and Carl's Jr. So I got we wanted anything but that. We wanted ramen, we wanted like Japanese food, anything, literally anything, but no, there's nothing. So we settled on fast food. That was a little disappointing, but we were like the winds were crazy. It was like it was hot as hell in the daytime. It was like 100 degrees, just like stagnant heat, desert heat. And it didn't seem like something the retirees would like. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do. I'm not sure. And then in the nighttime, it was like hurricane winds, and it was actually pretty cool. And it was like not hot, but the winds were literally, if I stepped outside of the alcove of my like porch at the hotel room, it felt like I'd been swept off to like Kansas, or to Oz or something. Is a tornado out there. So I don't know what these retirees are doing, why people go out there to retire, and what's so great about Palm Springs. But all it seemed like to me was a little suburban town that shuts down at 8 o'clock, and it's very expensive. Everything's very expensive. But the card show is great. Card show is awesome. The next day we woke up, it was a smaller show, but that didn't mean that the quality of customer wasn't there. I would say it was a smaller in quantity, but and higher in quality. Like my average customer spent more, and I would see them come back around instead of regular shows where you see a customer once and then they get lost in the rest of the crowd and leave. Like you literally would see people come 2-3 times back around and then buy from you on the second time. Maybe on the third time they buy from you again because they liked what I had people, coming back 3 or 4 times and buying the same items back from me, just like they walked around, saw everything. Now they're back. And so it was a good show. I would definitely do it again. I would probably even commit to a full table the next time because I'd be a little more confident. But Palm Springs, weird place, man. Tell me in the comments if you've ever been to Palm Springs, what you think about it. Did I miss something about Palm Springs? Was
Wait,
I
really
supposed to be
quick,
golfing or?
really quick. It's kind of funny you say that because I remember, I don't know, like late last year. I can't remember what we were up there for, but my girlfriend and I went to Seattle for some event. Maybe it was a hockey game. I can't remember. Anyways, we were walking around looking for places to eat, and it was the same sort of thing. Like right next to the Space Needle and stuff. Like everything that was within walking distance shut down at like 8 or 9 p.m. And I'm like, what the hell? And it was like a Friday in Seattle, and I'm like, what the hell? Like eight
Yeah,
or
it's
nine, like
weak.
that seems good. Like there's no bars open with food or anything like that. There was like one like Mexican restaurant that closed at like 10. So we got in there with like 45 minutes to eat or something like that. Just got like some tacos and chips and guac or whatever. But yeah, I was like, what the hell? Like, didn't places used to be open to like 11 or 12? But I don't know. Maybe I'm dusted. AI is taking over and they're just, yeah, I don't know, man. It was weird. So it's funny you say that about Palm Springs.
It was a weird place, man. It's in the desert. Like you turn off from me, I'm in Northern California. I drove, so like instead of getting on the grapevine, you turn off right before or like right as you turn on the grapevine and you dodge it and you go through the desert instead. And you see the scenery change like that. And I always made the joke while I was there. The people next to me, the vendors next to me, were making fun of me because I'd be like, I'd say we're not in California anymore. And they'd be like, we are in California still. And I'd be like, oh, okay, hold on. It just doesn't feel like California here. That's all. And it really didn't. So it's kind of funny, but I kept on like throwing slander at it being like a Nevada. I felt like Arizona or no shade at Arizona or anything, but just felt like not California. The scenery was so different. It just felt so different.
Have you been to Palm Springs before? Or this was your first time?
First time, probably not my only time. I'll go a little bit better prepared next time and maybe like eat before 8 o'clock, and I'll know that about the city. And it's just a different vibe. Like there's an air museum there that looked kind of cool, and I wanted to maybe explore that a little bit. It literally, they had a bunch of like helicopters and old World War II like airplanes and like crazy looking stuff out on a runway, and there's a lot of them. And I was like, dang, I just don't want to be walking out in the sun in the summertime looking at that, but maybe the winter time would be cool. But I'd go back for the card show again. I'd probably rent a house so I could cook, because instead of having fast food, I would have rather have just gone to the store and grabbed something and made it back at the hotel. But there's no way to do that. So yeah, Airbnb would be the way to go probably there.
Yeah, Airbnbs are cheap, man. Like at Collecticon, the Spicy Boys got like a Airbnb, and we went over there and hung out there a couple of the nights. But it was nice. I don't know what it ended up costing, but I want to say they said it was like 250 to 300 per person or something for the entire weekend, Friday through I think like Monday morning. So it's pretty solid, you know, and it was like nice. I had like a pool and yeah, it was a good looking spot. So Airbnb is the move for a lot of these big card shows. You can save a lot of money, hang out with your friends. Yeah, highly recommend.
I do get a lot of rewards. I do be getting a lot of rewards using Expedia though to book some certain things. Shout out to Expedia
Yeah,
if you ever want to sponsor the podcast. But I get that one room cash or whatever you book, and you get some cash back, and then like you get the more you book, you gain like a loyalty with the app, and then like you became like a silver gold member. And I've gotten 10 to 25% off of my room in addition to what is offered. And it's like I've gotten some good prices on rooms where I've called the hotel and asked to see what they, because I used to be a call the hotel and get the best rate kind of guy. But ever since I started using my app to do that and trying to like finagle the prices, I've been finding some pretty crazy. Like I'm about to also, and speaking of rewards, I've earned enough to get a free room next time we go to Disneyland at a nice hotel somewhere. So we're going to probably get at least one night free, which is kind of fun. But traveling as often as we do for work, there's benefits sometimes, you know, and that's one of the things.
Yeah. Like same thing with Alaska. Like I have an Alaska Airlines membership or whatever, and like you do so many flights and then you rack up the miles and then eventually you get a free flight, and I don't know, stuff like that's nice. I really need to spend some time, probably like middle to the later part of this month, but spend time like optimizing getting more credit cards and stuff. I know I want to get like another one, like a Costco credit card, because they do 4% cash back on gas, which is bonkers. Like
That's good.
that's crazy. So I basically would only use that card for I think groceries might be, it's either 2% or 3% on groceries, but
And you know you're dropping a couple $100 every time you go there, so it's like
yeah,
it
last time
adds
we went
up.
there it was like 700. So, but I mean, we buy enough to be stocked up for like, you know, a month, 3 weeks a month type deal.
I
So
wish I could spend $700 there and feel good about it with the space and storage at my place. It would literally, I would not feel good. It would go bad. Like, at least you probably have a big deep freeze. You have a nice garage. You have places like I'm in a little freaking California, up one bedroom here. It's nowhere. I can't store nothing. So.
yeah, I feel you. Yeah, we
I'd
definitely.
spend $300 at Costco, and I'm already like in my head doing the Tetris of where I'm going to put certain things in the freezer, and like, you know.
We still have to do that a little bit, but it's kind of like fun when you get home. Like, ooh, like take this out, put this in, like, you know, get rid of some of the old stuff or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Costco is goated, so I definitely need to sign up for that credit card, because 4% cash back on gas is wild. I mean, I don't even spend that much on gas as is because I drive a Prius, so I get really good gas mileage, and it takes maybe $40 to completely fill up the tank from like basically empty. So it's not too bad, but I mean, you know, every little percent counts. So
Yeah, I feel like with Costco, it's like a rite of passage. That's how you know that you've gotten boring and you've like grown up or whatever it is, and you're not fun anymore. Is that you enjoy Costco? It's like if you start enjoying Costco, I hate to say it, you're probably not partying at the club anymore. You're probably not like out, you know, spending money at the bar, drinking. You're probably making your own drinks at home if you're drinking like that, you know, and you're a different animal these days. So that's cheers to those Costco lovers out there. Kirkland, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. I gotta say, I gotta make a trip to Kirkland soon, to the old Costco warehouse soon, and yeah, get a new air fryer. So cheers.
air fryers are crucial. Yeah, I mean, like I totally agree with what you're saying. I think it is like a West Coast thing though in general. Like obviously the company started on the West Coast, but I don't know, man. Like it's nostalgic. Like going to Costco as a kid and like getting a hot dog or getting a piece of pizza, and the prices are still the same. Like they're
It's
still.
not just West Coast; they have it in other places
No,
too.
they do, but the company started on the West Coast. Like
Oh,
I'm pretty
for
sure.
sure. Okay, I didn't
Yeah,
actually know that. That's funny.
it's
That's
a.
cool.
I think it's a Washington company, but anyways, yeah, like I don't know. I mean, like that was fun as a kid, and again, like the prices are still the same. Like we went there, and pizza is still $2 a slice for those giant Costco pizza slices. So
And the samples, baby, the
yeah, the samples. And
samples.
my girlfriend goes crazy with the samples. Like she will hit every single booth. Sometimes they do like weird stuff like vitamins and stuff, and so we
Yeah.
don't hit the vitamin. But like, yeah, she always is.
I don't
Like,
even hit the samples at all anymore. It's just funny that when you're a kid, though, definitely the samples are the
well, the
best
samples are
part.
still worth hitting for sure. Last time there was like some pasta sauce that we tried, and that was bomb, so we ended up getting that. But yeah,
Gotcha.
man, the samples are nice. I'm not mad at them.
Hit me in the comments down below. Tell me what's your favorite Costco item that you couldn't live with. If you go to Costco, I know that you have something that you always have to get when you're there. You're like, I love it. I buy it in bulk. Like I can get it somewhere else, but I prefer it at Costco. Or maybe that you can only get it at Costco. It's one of those weird, like this one time I'm still mad at them because I I wanted to try these ice cream sandwich things that they had. They're like a stroop waffle ice cream sandwich that was dipped in chocolate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was too far away from home. I didn't have my cold pack bag, so I didn't get anything from my Costco is like 45 minutes away. So I didn't get anything from the freezer aisle, but I saw them and I was like, oh, I'll just get it next time. No big deal. They sold out that day, I'm pretty sure, because I came back 2 or 3 days later and they've never had those things again. And I'm so mad about it. I went online to try to find it. And apparently other people were also mad that they sold out so quickly. And they're hella good. And apparently everyone's like, oh yeah, the people who did get them, like, you guys, that sucks that you didn't get them, but they're really good. Don't worry, they were really good. We bought like
Yeah.
20 boxes, but you guys don't worry, it's
We
fine.
don't like buy dessert for the house. But that definitely sounds pretty bomb. I have had like the Stroop waffles before, but not like ice cream sandwich version. I've just had like the skinny ones with like the brown sugar and cinnamon. It's kind of like Pop Tart filling almost or whatever in the middle. They're good. They're solid.
Yeah, I mean they're fine like by themselves. I'm just a big, as far as like ice cream goes, and desserts and having something in the freezer. I do like having like ice cream sandwiches. It's kind of one of my favorite frozen treats, sort of thing. I'm usually a cookie sandwich kind of guy, like a chocolate chip cookie, vanilla ice cream sandwich sort of thing. And those are good, but those Costco ones with the Stroop waffles, I was willing to break my cookie ice vanilla sort of loyalty to try. And no, I was given the sold out treatment. And unlike
Uh,
Pokemon, I couldn't just go on eBay and buy them because
no, I totally get it, man. I'm definitely an ice cream sandwich fan for sure. I mean, even like you go to the gas station and they have those like I think it's just Nestle or Toll House or whatever, but like the original chocolate chip
with the
cookie
little
ice.
mini chocolate chips on the outside.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm not mad at that. I haven't had one of those in a long time, but yeah, those slap. Ice cream sandwiches are definitely goated for sure. Not gonna argue with you there.
yeah, and I tried to make my own at home a few times. You try to use like your own cookies and your own ice cream and put it in. It just doesn't have the same texture. I think they like underbake them and they use special like textured cookies. Like they're not too crunchy. I don't know what it is, but I can never get the right texture when I'm homemaking it. So yeah, shout out to the companies who make those ice cream sandwiches. You guys know what you're doing. You got me hooked, just like the gummy bears. I'm hooked. I love them. And that's all there is to it. Sponsor me.
Yeah, I would say my favorite or like our favorite thing we've been getting at I can't remember if I talked about it on here before, but the Grillo's pickles. I don't know if they have those at your Costco, but they literally just come in like
Oh, Grillos.
yeah,
Yeah. Hell
yeah, you
yes.
know what I'm talking about. Those are so good, man. So we get those pickles pretty much every time we go. And then they have these
I have a gripe about those pickles though in Costco. They
is
don't
it
come in spicy at Costco.
oh, do they have a spicy version? They
You
have a
didn't even
spicy version?
know, did you?
No, because I only get them at Costco. That's crazy. I like the spicy, like the spicier pickles, because I think Costco, like Kirkland brand, they have pickled chips and they do the spicy ones, and those ones are crazy.
So I haven't had those, but the Grillos makes a spicy version that if you're ever at the regular grocery store, just look in the pickle section. They might sometimes have it's a hot version of Grillos. Oh, my lord, Nick, they just put some habanero peppers in there is the only
Yeah.
difference, I think, and it's just so good. It's so
Okay.
good. So
I'll have to look for those if I'm
yeah,
out.
I
Those
wish Costco would like be more. They always try to do the whole mass appeal thing, so they don't do the more exotic flavors. I think they do the more because they don't have as much. That's their stick, and I get it. I
Bro, it's
really
the
like
same
that
thing
about
with like, I mean, like we don't buy chips and stuff either, but like for chips, they have because I really like kettle chips
them. Mm-hmm.
if I am gonna eat chips, and the kettle chip flavor at Costco is like sea salt. It's just like
Yeah,
plain. It's like, come on, dog. Like you couldn't have picked like at least I don't know, at least pick something like sour cream and onion or something
Ugh.
like. But it's totally
Black
what you're.
pepper, cracked black pepper. That
That's a
is.
good one.
Mm,
My favorite kettle chip, I think, is like the honey Dijon one, or like
that's good. Yeah.
The New York cheddar one slaps pretty good. I
Hold
used to
on.
be obsessed with kettle
Have
chips
you
when I was
had
a kid.
the peppercini one? The peppercini kettle chips?
Uh-uh.
Ooh boy,
Oh,
you
and
gotta get you.
dill pickle kettle chips. Dill
That's
pickle ones
probably good.
slap.
It's like that sounds like the non-spicy version of the peppercini. The peppercini ones you gotta try the next time you see them. They are something that might change your life. They're really good.
Okay, all right, I'll give
They're
them a
not
try.
like too spicy either. It's just like this. It's like a peppercini. You know, it's not like very spicy. It's more like tart and vinegary.
Yeah, no, I mean I like spicy food anyways. Like last thing, and then I guess we can get into it. But like sriracha, apparently, like a shortage. Like there's a sriracha shortage. So if you
Oh,
can
that's old
find
news, baby. That's old
no,
news.
there's another shortage. Like
Oh,
it
really?
came back. Yeah, it came back, and we got probably like I don't know 4 bottles or something just to be safe. But I guess like there's another shortage. So if you still find it at your local grocery store, swoop that sriracha because it might not be there next time you go. So and the last thing about Costco, this is anecdotal data, but every time I go and there's a Pokemon like palette there of tins or whatever, it's like always gone the next time I go. So people
They
are
haven't
buying
had very
Pokemon
good
constantly.
stuff lately, though. It's all Scarlet and Violet era stuff, is what I've had at my local ones.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what's out right now, so that would make sense. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, sometimes you get the tens that have like the Sword and Shield stuff in them, and like the older, like throwback, like little mini tens and stuff. They repackage them and put some promos in them.
yeah, fair enough. I don't do a lot of like the sealed product breaking down. I probably should for like local shows and stuff. I wish I would have snagged a bunch of Charizard UPCs to have like different packs to break down for shows and stuff like that. But I'm chilling on the Evolving Skies for sure. I forgot. Well, I didn't forget, but like I didn't have enough room to take them to Orlando anyways. So I still have all those packs and ETBs and stuff. So I'll have to like sell through those at a local show.
Dude, I had such the weirdest stuff walk up at the Palm Springs card show. Some guy walked up with like what was a Yu-Gi-Oh first edition, couple of sealed first edition Yu-Gi-Oh boxes, like
Like
vintage
booster
ones,
boxes or like decks.
booster boxes and decks, like a whole box of stuff. And like he's like, hey, well, he was walking around just kind of aimlessly, and I didn't have someone in front of me. And as he was walking by, I was like, hey, and he had this big box he was holding. I was like, hey, guy, what's in the box? And with the Magikarp hat. So imagine the Magikarp hat on my head. Hey, guy, what's in the box? And he's like, huh? Huh? Oh, this? And he like kind of set it down. And he like sets it down on the table. And he like hobbles over and sets it down. He's like, that's just some old Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. You like Yu-Gi-Oh? And I was at a loss for words because I like didn't want to like give him the truth right out the mouth. Like, oh no, I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh at all. But I was interested, so I was like, dude, this is old. Is this like the first edition stuff? He's like, yeah. These two are first edition, and these two are unlimited, and then I have two open boxes of first edition too with some packs. And I was like, geez.
What
And then
sets? Do you remember what set it was?
I took pictures of them. I don't know what they are, man. I let me look. Hold on. If I can read it in my picture, I'll send it to you though. Maybe you can take a better whack
Yeah, I
at
mean,
it.
I'm interested. I feel like some of that first edition stuff's pretty expensive.
Yeah, we looked it up. I think I forget. Yeah. So I sent him over to JR, the guy at my table who I was sharing the table with, because he actually does like Yu-Gi-Oh. I was like, hold on, he's JR's walking around. Let him come back and he'll look at it. And they were talking for a long time about it. And he's like going back and forth. Maybe he bought some packs from him. JR bought some loose packs, um, just to like open on his own because he determined they were unweighed basically. And so he got some vintage loose packs. I'm gonna send you right now. I'm going to send you a picture and you can tell me what those sets are because you might know better than me just based on the look of the box. We had some decks in there. And then also, some guy walked up with some Marvel boxes too, some vintage Marvel boxes, and I sent you that picture. I'm pretty sure
Yeah. I got
the
that
Marvel
one.
masterpieces. So like, there's some weird old stuff that just exists out there. I just imagine it being in the desert, just like there.
Let me. I just got the picture. Let me look. It looks like.
It's not like the Magic Ruler. It's not like the Metal Raiders or Legend of Blue Eyes. It's not the main sets, but they're first edition. They're vintage. They're old.
He has Magic Ruler, which is crazy too because it had to be changed to Spell Ruler because like I think Magic sued them or whatever. And then a couple of these are I think GX boxes. It looks like, and then the deck is a GX deck too. But yeah, I mean some money there for sure. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how much JR ended up taking from him or buying off him. I know he got a little bit, but not all of it. But he was having the conversation with the guy like, this is really cool, really rare old stuff, but it's Yu-Gi-Oh! So like, it's like gonna be not like Pokemon where it's a little bit different, not as liquid at times. So he's like, you're gonna have to find the right buyer. So I don't know if that guy found a buyer or not, but it was kind of cool seeing that walk up. And then the old vintage like Marvel Fleer boxes are like 1993 and 92 masterpiece. So that's kind of neat. Guy was selling those, but not my wheelhouse, so not my problem. I did message some people just to see if they'd be interested in the Discord, just because the guy was walking around. I was like, hey, I'll make his message for you, see if someone wants it, and if you're walking around, then yeah. But a funny story about that show, I had to like disappear. I had to like break out almost or like sneak out of the back because I had to leave early and the vendor loadout door wasn't going to roll up until 5 o'clock, and the security guards would not walk me out or even escort me around. So that, not that they had, wasn't going to make them roll up the door, but even out like the side door, all I needed was a regular door, not a big roll up door or anything. They were refusing, and so rather than being kept there until 5 o'clock, I snuck out a side entrance that I had no idea where it went, and just made my way out. So, and the only reason I did that, I'm not usually a rule breaker like that for no reason, but reason is they told me why I couldn't just go out the front where they were letting people in at, and I had to wait until 5 at the end. This is huge shade throwing at the convention center, by the way. They said, oh, we don't want to mess up our carpet. So the vendors aren't allowed to leave out the front door. They have to go out the back door per the contract. And so since it was we didn't want to mess up our carpet, and then I saw like strollers being pushed and all this stuff, I was just like, all right, cool. In my head, I see a door over there and it goes in the general direction of the exit. I'm going out that door. Peace. And I was hoping that they'd chase me down so that I could tell the police about the hostage situation that they were basically starting by holding their vendors there. So the first and only show where that has ever been, where they've refused to let people leave. And that was really weird. And I told the showrunner, and I was like, yo, bro, not cool. Like, that's really weird. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. So no shade at the showrunner, just complete shade at the convention center. And hopefully that changes at the next one. But that was a funny little aside. So
Yeah, sometimes shows have like weird little rules. Like there's this one location that the local card shows that I vend. Like they at this one specific location in this one mall. I guess there's like an LGS in the mall or something, but they charge like 2x MSRP on all of their sealed product, and you can't like because they're in the mall for whatever reason. Like you can't sell like you can come and sell singles and slabs and stuff like that, but you can't sell any sealed product.
You don't want to
At
compete
that
with
location.
them. Oh wow.
So I don't know. Like sometimes shows have their little, but like not messing up the carpet is like, all right, dog. Like that, yeah, that seems a little bit weird. But anyways, we
Yeah,
should
it
probably,
literally insulted me, and so I was like, "All right, I'm leaving out the back. See you guys." And then I just went around the side. So
yeah,
that's what you get, as far as I'm concerned.
for sure. All right, we should probably get into some of the topics here.
Yeah, let's get into the main topic here. I think that's what people want to hear right now about, and what the main buzz is all about is glory to Team Rocket. Here we are, blasting off again. Is it time? Are we finally going to see the Scarlet and Violet era really truly see its time to shine? What do you think? First of all, do you hear about this?
I did hear about it. I can't remember where, probably like Poke Beach or something like that, or Instagram or whatever. But yeah, very excited. Obviously, huge Team Rocket fan. I was actually considering, now that they're so cheap, Giovanni's Charisma is like an $8 card, the SAR, and that is like the best Giovanni card in my opinion in the hobby. I mean the briefcase one is sick too, but the SAR is solid. And I was like, man, yeah, exactly. It was like for $8, like I'll just, like I'll PC it at that price and have my one Giovanni card. But anyways, I'm excited for what the Team Rocket set could be. Obviously, like dark Pokemon, stuff like that. I think it would be really cool if they did like this is like wishful thinking, but there's like pictures online of like Giovanni and then like everybody dressed up in like Team Rocket gear behind him or whatever. If they did a card like that was just called like Team Rocket and it was like a full art trainer and it was like that would be sick.
Like Jesse and James silhouettes on there or something? Yeah.
Yeah, or like if they did Jesse as like a waifu or whatever, like that would probably sell really well. But
Hell,
yeah, man,
James as a waifu would do
James,
really
yeah,
well too.
James also, or as a
We've
guy.
all seen that swimsuit episode.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But
If
yeah,
they
man,
gave that as a card, I would die. I would die
yeah,
in
I
an
don't, I don't, I don't think
instant.
they'll be touching on that. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's honestly though, like I'm like the next set coming out, the Night Wander looks pretty dark. Like it doesn't look too great. Like even the top end chase cards are like,
Well, it
ooh,
looks
like
awful, man. It looks
yeah,
so bad. It looks
like
real
Persian might be the best card in the set, and that's kind of like dark to say, but
bad. People
um
are chomping at the bit. Like, what was the last set? The set before it just came out, Twilight Masquerade. What's the chase in that set?
the Carmine and Greninja, I think,
Ugh,
right?
ugh, ugh.
I
So
like the
far.
Greninja. I think the Greninja's cool.
Greninja's cool, but come on, slow down, y'all. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I'm so
yeah,
sorry, UIP. I really apologize. I like Greninja as much as the next guy, but it's not the chase of an entire set. And it's not, it's what is that card? $170 now? People are chomping at the bit.
I don't
That's all they
know.
got. It's all they got. So
I
that's
don't
what
know
they're going with.
what it is in English, but oh, and I think there's like a new Greninja card coming out. That's I don't know. It's a promo in English, but I
It
think
looks so good. The new
that'll
one is
probably be
so good.
in Night Wanderer with Kingdra. So that's maybe like a little, but anyways, there and then there's one after called like Terrestrial. I can't remember. It's like Terrestrial Paradise or Terrestrial something, and it basically sounds like it's like the V Star universe of terrestrial whatever stuff. So
Yeah, that's
that
another pass for me, dog. That's another
yep,
no for
it's
me.
probably going to be boo. But then after that, supposedly is the Paradise Dragona, which is the dragon set. I've got high hopes for that, but they're probably going to do a bunch of like dragon Pokemon that no one knows or cares about, and
I
it's
mean,
going to
hold
be,
on. Look at
I
the
don't
last
know.
few dragon Pokemon sets that they've done. I mean, Evolving Skies kind of counts as a dragon set, right? And that was a hit. But before that, they had Dragon Majesty, and they had like Dragon Vault, and then they had like they've all
Dragon
been
Ball is
misses.
dark. Dragon Ball has some good ones, but like,
Dragon Majesty was dark, bro. Nobody wanted that.
yeah, I don't know, man. Like we'll see what happens with it. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some good looking stuff. I mean, people are excited about which one has the different versions of the dogs in English? Is that Temporal Forces or is that Paradox Rift?
Yeah, once again, I think that's sort of the set where they really changed the chase, the rarity rate. Like they made them harder to hit in that set for some reason. And I think it's people didn't have anything better to chase. I think it's a situation of like people really want something in the modern sets to be expensive, but they're not being given anything that they organically want. So it's all being driven up by like not weird playability, because that makes sense to me. Playability makes a lot of sense to me, and so does rarity and scarcity. But they're not any Pokemon that people I feel like genuinely want. It's like the weird new Pokemon that I hate to say it, only like little kids care about, and little kids aren't the ones who are buying alternate arts and paying PSA 10 prices and stuff and like pushing up these prices. Someone is though. And so I think it's there are people who are like longing for these prices on something else, but and that's the same reason why the Moonbryon is struggling to go below a certain point, is because people want an expensive card. They really want a really big card to chase. And for the longest time, Moonbryon has delivered on being that card, and it's all people still have. So they keep going back to it, back to that watering hole. But I think that as soon as Scarlet and Violet really, really gives the people something to chase, and that's a desirable, something that's truly rare and scarce, and that people want. So if something that's not Greninja in a new set, like at the Team Rocket set, if they give us a really cool dark Pokemon, a dark Gyarados, or dark anything that's like a badass alt art, people are
Yeah,
gonna want it.
they don't need to reinvent the wheel. They
No,
literally could take original Team Rocket, take all those Pokemon, make full art versions of all those, and people would lose their minds.
yeah.
Like you could even take a little bit, like you could do,
Give me
like
that Dark Dragonite, baby. Num 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 num
yeah,
num.
Dark Dragonite would be
Yeah,
insane, but like Dark Slowking, then
Dark
like the
Charizard, bro. Yes, all of it.
Snorlax, like a really good Snorlax chase card would be sweet, like a Snorlax EX SAR, or I guess SIR, but or like a Rockets Snorlax EX would be a full art would be sick. Yeah,
And
man,
that
I don't like.
might do some damage to the alternate art market that's already sort of starting to cool off a little bit. I mean, I don't know if we mentioned this, we talked about it before the show, but the alternate art market's starting to finally show signs of weakness, a little bit of it. I mean, we'll say weakness, it's showing signs of cooling off at the very least. And I feel like given another set that people want in Scarlet and Violet, where money would flow into a little bit more fluidly, it might do a little bit of quote unquote damage to that market, and it might actually help dethrone that Moonbryon and give a new chase card. Because I don't think we'll see right off the bat $1,000 card out of the set as a PSA 10. But we might see a $500 card if something's really
I
cool.
honestly, people are always like, oh yeah, like One Piece has these $1,000 cards and stuff. Like I don't know if Pokemon could get to the point now with like how much they're like, because there's plenty of demand, don't get me wrong, but like with how much they're printing, I don't think Pokemon necessarily needs or wants to get to the point that they're doing like $1,000+ chase cards, at least out the gate, right? Like Umbreon like took a took a little bit, but even back
That's
then
what I
it was
mean. Even a $300 chase card is really tough to do out the gate. And that, I mean,
yeah,
Umbreon was
yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I don't know, man. Like it's been kind of rough, but it's weird. Like I don't even really collect like that, and I like these sets more so than what it sounds like people like these sets. But the sales data, I mean, like people like the cards, right? Like I like I'm not a super huge fan of the Suicune, like what they did with the Suicune. I don't know if that's called like Paradox Form or whatever. Like,
What they
but the other
did to
two,
my boy,
yeah, but like the other two are sick. Like the Entei one looks really cool, and I'm not mad at the
Everyone likes
giraffe.
the gouging fire. Yeah, everyone genuinely likes
Yeah,
that one.
it's a cool art. It's like jungle cat. It's like looks tribal. I don't know, like the art's sick. And then the other one's what Raging Bolt, like the giraffe neck Raikou. I like that card. Like when I got him in hand, I was like, all right, this hits. It's not like the Raikou that you remember or are attached to, but it's a good looking card. And yeah, I don't know. But again, like the market doesn't really everything is so cheap right now. But
Well,
I
those
don't know.
aren't
When
that
everybody's
cheap.
super,
Those are
whenever
still like $50.
Oh, well, in Japanese, like it's pretty well. I don't know what it is raw in Japanese, but the cases of Wild Force, which is the set that comes with like the Gengar or the Morty's Confidence or whatever it is that has the Gengar on it, and then all three of the dogs. Those boxes are cheap, dude. Those are like 35 bucks a piece. So
There's a big dichotomy between English and Japanese right now. We're getting back to that era where, well, and we're going to talk about this in the next topic a little bit more, but it's crazy to me that Ghastly in Japan is $5 and or less even.
yeah, well, I mean, like
And in
the
English it's like
ARs.
$40 or something, $30 or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
the ARs are guaranteed. I think you get 3 or 4 a box in Japanese, whereas like in English they're actually like chase cards. So that's why there's like a price discrepancy there because you get like guaranteed like 3 to 4 per box in Japanese. That's why they've always been kind of cheap. But um, the only time they haven't been super cheap is when they did the V Star Universe God Pack, where you pulled like the all 9 ARs with a Pikachu in the middle that made like the big picture. Um, that's like the only time they've had any sort of like chase. They're guaranteed hits in the box, which is cool. Like it makes the experience nice. Like you're at least getting full arts out of every box and stuff like that. But the other thing too is like with the sets being so rough, it's nice with English because it's 2 sets mashed together. So even if there's only like 1 or 2 chase cards in each set, as long as it gets the English to where it's like the 2 sets combined, then it's like, all right, well, it's still trash, but at least we've got like 4 chase cards. You know what I mean? So it English is definitely has that buffer right now. But I don't
Say
know, man.
what
Like
you will about it, but I haven't dealt in any of the new sets in a while. 151 is the only Scarlet and Violet I'll touch, and that's unfortunate, but it's true for me.
yeah, I mean it's rough, but I also look on the other side of it to where I'm like, if this is the worst time for sets, it's still not like that bad. It's bad. Like the sets, the leaks come out and you're like, eee, but like the cards still look cool. Over time, people will, time goes by, people are gonna be like, oh, these were actually really cool cards, and the prices are all gonna go up, blah 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 blah. But it's still not that bad. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, when good stuff comes out, like the 151, or like now they're doing the Team Rocket, maybe still got a little bit of hope for the Dragon set. I don't know, man. Like, I'm still confident because I know, like, I see the vision. It's like, okay, y'all are playing all these like Pokemon from the game that are popular in whatever DLCs you guys are releasing. So you have to promote that. You promote the trainers that are popular in the show and the game. Like, I get that, but the art direction they're going in, like, I would argue overall the art is just as good, if not better, than what it was in Sword and Shield era. So when they start putting the art on the right Pokemon, it's going to be good night. Like, I think EXSAR or EXSIR, like, I think overall those arts are a little bit nicer on average than the alt arts from Sword and Shield. Personally, I just think that the Pokemon and the trainers they pick haven't been as popular. So that's
I
my
would
bullish.
actually disagree with that, actually.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the trend with what they do with their EXSARs, first starting with like the only exception is the beginning of the series with the Gardevoir. The Gardevoir is gorgeous. It's a beautiful, serene, very picturesque setting where you can see what's being done. It tells a story through 3 cards. I'm only talking about the Gardevoir EX though, because the ARs are a whole different story, but they connect with the EX. That was a great way to start the series. The Miriam was the same way. Gorgeous, beautiful storytelling. Had the girl tripping in the library, the Pikachu in the background, really great color scheme. It wasn't obscured really. And then it had great identity to me. And then you start looking at sets like where the And then the second set, Paldea Evolve, also pretty good identity. I mean, people didn't love it when it came out because it was like, oh, it's all the new Pokemon, but had some really cool stuff in it. People always liked the Magikarp. It was always $30 right on release. It had the new Pokemon, but in great artwork styles. The
Had
Fuecoco,
Iono
yeah,
too,
the
and
Iono is really
Ninja.
popular and really playable and a really cool card. Great set from with a lot of variety too. And it was all new Pokemon, which was kind of its non-meh, but it was good art, like you said. I think the Baxcalibur in that set was an example of where the direction that they're going in a lot of the ARs that I do not like in this era that they did not do in Sword and
That's
Shield era.
Komiya. I think that's Komiya. You're gonna get
No,
shot
I
by
love Komiya because I love the
Big
Magikarp,
Smith.
but it's not all.
Well, the
Komiya didn't do the
Magikarp is
Greninja.
Honda, I think.
He didn't do the Charizards, the two Charizards from the one from Obsidian Flames, the alternate art from Obsidian Flames. I'm gonna harp on really bad here. You either love it or you hate it, and I'm in the camp of really dislike it. The one where he's just like roar, and it's like all this crazy like lines coming out and all. It doesn't look like an alternate art to me. It looks like a full art with a weird background. And then you go to the next set, Paldean Fates, and you look at the Charizard. It's the same thing but shiny. And then you look at the Greninja.
No, dude, that one for whatever reason, like that one hits and it
I
sells.
disagree. I think it's just as
I
ugly as
like it.
the
It
Obsidian
sells.
Flame.
It
I've
sells.
confused them.
I agree with you on the Obsidian Flames one. Like that one is boof to me. I never liked that, but
But it's
the
like they
Paldean.
saw what happened with the Giratina V in Lost Origin, how much people liked that art style, and then they're like, okay, let's give them all that. Because now look at the Greninja.
That's Konda. So the Giratina is Shinji Konda. That's who did the Magikarp, the Baxcalibur, and like the Gengar Master Ball, or like the whole Gengar line in 151. That's Komiya. Kind of
Well, I
similar.
like the Gengar line in 151 on the half arts, and I like Komiya in half arts, but I
He did
guess
the Drowsy AR too.
and
Komiya did the Drowsy AR
I like
also.
that one. As you know, that one's pretty good. I like Komiya. I like the scream. You know, I like that style. But in as far as doing it on all of the alt arts and making all the alt arts, it feels very heavy handed. And then the Ogre Pond masks, all of them are that style where they're just really busy, and it's like the masks that are all the different. You know,
Well, I think part of the busyness too is the crystal stuff, like the terrestrial, because
yes, and it
like
pervades through
very.
the entire, yeah, and since that's the theme of the block, that's my point is I objectively disagree. I do not like it as much as I like the more understated, and that's the same reason I didn't like the V Maxes as much as I like the V alternate arts. I was always one that said I like the V alt arts better than the V Maxes because I'm not a big fan of V Max. I don't like just making something bigger and putting a cloud around its head. I don't think that makes it cooler, but that's, I guess I'm an old boomer at that point, but you know, that's just my take. And I feel the same way about the EXs. I do not like the artwork of, I like some of them, the more understated in their natural environments. Like you said, the dogs with the long neck giraffe and the gouging fire and the Suicune. Those are pretty cards. They are pretty cards, but they just, I don't care about the Pokemon. That's all. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments like always, but
No, I mean, like more of what I was saying is, and I mean, I guess like I agree with you that a lot of them are more busy, but when I look at the quality of the art, like in the trainers especially, even if they're not as like popular trainers, like the Iono cards are sick. Like I think
yeah,
there's
I love
three.
Iona. I think she's a great trainer.
Yeah, there's like three of them. The Carmine's pretty cool. The Parasol Lady was cool. I'm just saying, like the art direction, I feel like is better. It just hasn't been executed to the level that it could be. That's what I'm saying though. Like if they did like a Snorlax, or I mean, they could do Wobbuffet, dude. Like Wobbuffet is a
Any
Team
of the
Rocket
Gen 1
Pokemon.
or 2 Pokemon, people are
Yeah,
chomping at the bit. They would be instantly. That's why Eevee as a AR is $50 and growing.
I mean, I think you could even do like Roaring Moon was cool, but if you just did like you could even do like B or C level Pokemon that are just slightly more popular do a really good art, because like no one was really hyped on Aerodactyl outside of like Basic Trainer, right? Like shouts out to Basic Trainer, but like no one was really like, oh, I love Aerodactyl. But the Aerodactyl Altar came out and people were all of a sudden stoked on Aerodactyl. I think you could do like a Flygon or a Salamence SAR full art, just the regular version, not the weird like, and people would go nuts. I think you could do like Meganium and Feraligatr, or like a Typhloat, like a, you know what I mean? Like I think people would like that stuff. I really do. Like I think if you took even B tier Pokemon, but it's like when the chase card, like the chase card from Night Wanderer is like some weird pink ghost thing with like chains coming. Like I don't even know what the hell that is. And like I get it's attached to the game and the DLC and stuff like that, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's a little rough. So I'm
Some
hopeful for
guy
it.
came to the table talking about that Pokemon. I think it's called like Patrant or something, or Patrant, or it's like the new legendary Pokemon. It's attached to like the Ogre Pond somehow. It's like a rival. I don't know, but the big reveal was that he tried to convince me, and you guys have to tell me if I'm wrong. You have to tell me if I'm wrong. He tried to convince me that the legendaries can have more than one in existence. There's more than one of each legendary out there. Whereas mythical Pokemon, there's actually only one in the Pokemon lore. Whereas there's multiple Zapdos, multiple Articunos, multiple Lugias, multiple. I was like, whoa, no. And his argument was that there was a baby Lugia in one of the movies, I guess, that I don't remember. Do you remember a baby
If there was a
Lugia?
baby Lugia card, that would go
Well,
crazy.
it's not a
People would
card. It was in the movie or
No,
in the
I know,
anime
but
or
I'm just saying
something.
if they did that, that would go crazy.
And his argument was that there were shinies of the legendaries and non-shinies, and therefore
Yeah, but is
and
there
that there are
shinies?
multiple Rayquazas.
Have they touched on shinies like in the actual lore though?
Hmm.
Like, okay, I don't know enough about like the show itself to make
It
like a
blew my
definitive.
mind. It blew my
Yeah, like
little
having
mind.
multiple. I don't know, man. Like in the games, at least, I mean, maybe they've changed the lore as time has gone on, but like in the games, at least, like you hunt, there's only one option. Like when you go to the burned tower,
Okay,
it's
what
like,
about that, the Galarian forms? And this is another argument he made that kind of stopped me in my tracks, as I was right there
see,
with
that's,
you.
they're going back. That's what I'm saying though. Is I feel like they're changing it to like create plot armor for the new stuff. Because like the Galarian stuff is weird. It's like, oh well, on this island, Pokemon are like slightly different, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like you can't just.
So that implies that there's multiple Pokemon that evolve separately of those legendary Pokemon, right? Not you can't have one Zapdos that evolved into the Galarian one
That's,
over time. Like it
well,
doesn't
I
work
think
that way.
it's because they're in the Galar region. Like they develop different. I don't know if they actually like evolve into the Galarian form. I think it's like, oh well, because we're over here, like we look slightly
It's
different.
not the same Zapdos who's from the Galar region that you encounter in the Kanto region. They're different
Yeah,
Zapdos.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like
Therefore, the implication is that there are more than one Zapdos to then therefore.
I don't. I mean, again, like there's people out there that have watched way more of the show than me. I've only watched like the original few seasons or whatever, so I don't know. But like at least at the beginning, they make it seem like there's just one of each, right?
And
Like,
I agree. They do make it seem that way, and they make it feel like you're the number one trainer and the only one who gets it. But we all know that we all got it. So maybe it's not as they're not as legendary as we thought, and there are multiples. So yeah, that was another thing that came out of the show. Some guy came to the table. He was sitting there for like 20 minutes talking to us about, and me and JR both were like, I don't know. There's only one Lugia, or there's only one, Zapdos in the game. And if you miss it, you miss it. And like, he's like, no, but check it out, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, fine, good point. So I cede to that gentleman, and I will say it seems to be the implication is there are more than one legendaries out there, maybe
I don't
multiples.
know if I like that. I'm gonna live in like my
I
old
don't
school.
love it, but the
Yeah,
implication.
I'm gonna live in like my old school Pokemon boomer ignorance, where they're what, because it makes it feel more special, and it's like they're part of the story. Like, yeah, I don't know. I
How
can't.
special is it when we're just saving right before and restarting and restarting and restarting and using Ultra Ball? You know what I mean? How special is it really anyway, though? So It doesn't have to make it not special.
I mean, yeah, but it's like it's a focal point of the story. Like right before you catch because it's your only chance. That's like
It
you know
still doesn't have to. It still doesn't mean that they're not rare. It just means there's multiples of them. I'm not saying there's like a whole little Zapdos colony, a bunch of them, but there's got to be a couple of them.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I like one of each. That's where I'm
Shout
at with
out in the
it.
comments, please sound off. I want to hear what you guys say. Is that guy crazy? Am I crazy for believing him, or does it seem like there's some implication that there might be more than one of certain legendaries, or even there's others that were like created that maybe aren't like they don't reproduce, and maybe there's that, but. Any of them that actually reproduce and aren't like created through artificial means, then I don't know. Or
Yeah,
aren't gods themselves like Arceus or like, Giratina or Xerneas or whatever?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Colson or somebody that's seen like more of the show and is more. I haven't even played like a lot of the games, so I'm missing like a lot of the lore. But I'm gonna
Well, I'm
stick
pretty
with
sure
my.
that Xerneas is like life and Giratina is death or something
I
or
thought it
something
was
like that.
Xerneas and Eveltal
Or
or however.
Yveltal, that's what I mean. Maybe not Giratina, Yveltal, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mixed those up. I always think of Giratina as being the death
I
one.
think Giratina is like a dark. It's like lives in the underworld or. Anyways, all right. Leave in the comments too. What do you guys want to see, or what are your predictions for the Team Rocket set? What are you guys excited for? What are you hopeful for? If they botch, listen. If they botch Glory to Team Rocket, dog. Okay. Also, last thing. This is like the box art. It's a clean black box with just the red R on it. That
I
would
mean,
be
they're gonna make it. They're gonna do
so
what they
fire.
do.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
who
sure.
knows what they're gonna do? It's gonna be something, but
All right. Next topic.
all right. This is one that I kind of want you to spearhead a little bit because you can talk a lot more about it than I can, and I'm definitely here. I haven't talked at all to you about this since we've started hearing a little bit more about reprints and things. We've been busy, both of us have, and I just haven't had a chance to. But 151 Japanese reprint. Investors, cooked or cooking? What are your thoughts on this, Nick? Please tell us about this reprint and
Well,
all of the above.
you're definitely getting cooked, taking a loss on paper right now if you're selling. So yeah, definitely if you bought at like $100 a box with where things are right now, like you're definitely getting cooked. But demand wise, it is very cooking. We changed the prices on Dan's eBay and we sold 50 boxes in like a day and a half. And then when I got back from Collecticon, I posted like the new pricing on my Instagram story. And just since like the Monday I got back from Collecticon, between then and now, I've done like $40,000 in gross orders for 151 boxes and cases, just for 151 boxes and cases over the past 2 weeks. So the demand for it is insane. Like it's actually wild, but it's cheap. It's probably going to get a little bit cheaper. So I think you have some time. I don't know, like no one can predict what it'll bottom out at or anything like that. But there's definitely more available, which makes me think that like they would need to maybe like add a little bit more in English. I don't know how easy it is to find in like stores like Target and Walmart, Fred Meyer, stuff like that. But yeah, 151 is a strong set. So if they don't reprint it in English at all, that would be pretty surprising. But
No. They're going to reprint it in English. Don't you even think they're not going to. I don't want anyone to think that that's not going to happen.
yeah,
It certainly
I mean,
will.
I would err on the side that they're probably going to reprint all the Scarlet and Violet stuff because it's
Yeah.
like that's what Pokemon does. Like I don't
Get
think
that out of your little head, your mucked up little head. If you think for some reason they're not going to reprint English, you listener, if you think your 151 ETBs and booster bundles are safe, you're living in a fantasy world. They are good, but they are not safe. There is a difference between a good product and a safe product when it comes to reprints in this hobby. And you are not safe in English 151. Just because you see the Japanese getting nuked, don't feel comfortable with your English holding price. Don't start patting yourself on the head and saying, "Oh, I'm glad I went English." don't think that this isn't going to happen in English. All right, don't get cute. Take your profits, run with them, use them while they're hot, and then turn them back over when they get reprinted. This is not financial advice, but this is friendly advice. It
Well,
is not financial, but it is friendly, experiential advice.
same thing with like the other sets too. I mean, I think like Paldea Evolved is already like starting to move a little bit, and it's like that set's not that old. You know what I
No,
mean? Like that
yeah,
it's not that old. And the fact that it's already starting to move, so I could see them. I could see them hitting pretty much everything with at least a small reprint. I don't necessarily know what that's going to do to the prices or anything like that in the short term because everything is fairly cheap, but stuff's been moving very quickly. So I don't know. Pokemon does not like they want things to have good secondary market value, but like if they see demand there and they see prices moving, like they're gonna reprint it. Like they don't
yeah.
really care that if investors are making money or not. Like that's not they they don't care about that. I think Battle Styles, Shining Fates, Vivid Voltage show us that that's like not the case. So I'd be very surprised if Scarlet and Violet just as a whole block didn't get a reprint. But like, yeah, man, Japanese, and I think part of it too is like a cultural thing. Now that I think about it, because Pokemon Japan has released I don't know 3 or 4 times over the past year. Like when they send out those emails that are like, we are very sorry that like we're sold out of products. We're gonna do our best to like catch up to demand and print more. I think they're finally doing that, like for real. Like they've actually caught up to demand. They are printing a ton of stuff. In some cases, it feels like, oh, this is crazy. It's too much. But it's kind of nice right now because like there's still really good liquidity in Japanese. Stuff's cheap. It's accessible for people. And like I was here before Japanese was popular. I got to like experience the crazy like wave and ride up and stuff. And it's I would argue that popularity hasn't changed at all. Just prices have changed. That's all because there's more supply. So yeah, like I'm happy to be here. And like these are good sets. You know what I mean? Like it's Paldean Fates is a good set. People like it. Shiny Treasure EX, it's a good set. People are just freaked out because there's a ton of it and it's like $35 a box right now. But like
if you were investing in this stuff a year ago when it was expensive and you liked it then, you should love it now. There's nothing that's changed fundamentally about Japanese. In fact, it's, in my opinion, gone back to being far, far more comfortable and less volatile than it was when we were talking about it a year and a half ago, or when a lot of people are thinking about like Japanese and when they really got into it when it was popular. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on where I think it's a little bit in a better place right now. I do think though that the demand isn't quite there anymore like it was. As far as with 151, at least, because I did have a gentleman right next to me who was selling boxes. He was selling them a little bit high. He was selling them at $80 there at the event, and 80 was a little high because you can probably get them for 60 online, right? Ship maybe 65, but 80 doesn't feel that high for a show price. Like I counted 5 people in the entire show asked about them. He had a bunch of them stacked up. Only 5 people the whole show, and not one person, not a single bot. They're like, "Oh, how much for the 151 box? $80? Okay, cool, thanks." They weren't actually interested in buying.
I
So
think maybe part of that too is because people like know that there's that knew that there was going to be like a reprint and stuff like that. So because like a lot of people at Collecticon were walking around. Dude, one guy even said, and like I don't know about this, I'll have to check. I haven't looked, but one guy was like, "Oh, get rid of these," and like pointed to my stamp box Pikachu's, and he's like, "Yeah, those stamp boxes are getting a reprint." I'm like, "What, dude? This is like from 2021. They're gonna reprint Japan Post collaboration 3 years later. Like, dog, you are dusted. But maybe I'm dusted. I don't know. I'll have to look into it and see if that's true. But there's a few people that were like, oh yeah, like 151's getting reprinted, blah blah blah. So
but like
yeah, I
with
mean,
Master Balls, the person on the other side of me, JR, who I shared the table with, he had a bunch of Master Balls in the bottom, and he had them priced cheap too, and literally not a single person. I asked him, I was like, how many people asked? He's like,
raw or graded?
raw, ungraded.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
there's this. I remember 2 months ago, though, 4 months ago, when it came out, when you and I were talking, and people in the comments were talking about 151. The only thing that differentiated it from English that made people actually want it was the Master Ball, as they said. And the biggest disappointment, they're like, oh no, we don't have the Master Ball. If only we had the Master Ball. Oh my lord, I'm a Master Ball. Well, where are the Master Balls now? How investable were the Master Balls? How rare are the Master Balls? I want to know, how cool are the Master Balls now? I've
they
not heard
are
of a
rare.
single
They are
person.
rare.
Oh
There's
yeah,
that.
so rare, so rare. Yeah, yeah, they're very rare.
I mean, it's
It's
you get
very,
one a
very
box,
rare.
and there's like 150 options. So like,
There's only 150 million boxes out there. There's not that many, It's
I
not
mean,
that big a deal. When you
I
get
don't
one
know.
per box,
I feel like you can't, not you specifically,
by
but like
that rate, amazing rares are rare too. By that, you get two per box.
no. Yeah, but there was only like two. There was like 2 or 3 options per set. There's 150 different Master Balls, or like 135 or whatever it comes out to. So it's like a 100 or one
Yeah,
out of
those
130.
Caterpies and Machokes and all those,
Hey man,
those
it's
Jinxes and the Master Balls, those scoop up net
and more
Master Ball
Pokemon.
reverses. Those are really flying off the shelves these days. They're so collectible. They're so investable, you guys. That's what I've been told, at least by all
I
these
don't think
YouTube channels out here.
I don't think that they're investable, but like the
I just want
demand.
to say there's only one person I remember on YouTube shouting at the top of his lungs, and he's still shouting because he was right. And you're welcome for giving you that foresight, everyone who watches this
All
podcast.
you said was you hated Master Balls. That's not
I
being
told
right
people who
or
are
wrong.
investing in them, they were going to get cooked. I said they were going to get COOK cooked, and they did. So I hope that they sold them all. That's
You're
all before this
stupid. Oh
happened.
my god.
Or I hope
Yeah,
they listen to me.
yeah. I mean, like Master Balls probably like are not worth investing in, but like I don't know.
Well,
I think
he said now that hindsight, we've
I don't
seen.
think I ever said invest in
No,
Master Balls.
not you, but there
That's
was a lot of
crazy.
people, and I will say I got pushback from everyone on it. Everyone.
Listen, I mean, it's the same thing. People, I don't know, like you can't have your cake and eat it. Not you specifically, but
Yeah,
like
I know what you mean.
you can't be like, oh man, like don't be worried about a reprint. Like it's fine. Like things get reprinted. Like everybody's always negative, and then things go up over time. It's like, okay, well, if that's like the framework that you hold, like you have to hold it, and that's the framework that I hold. And so like I've held that same framework, and now like it's cheaper again. Like the cheaper it gets, simple supply and demand. Like when the price goes down, if the demand curve doesn't have to shift to the right at all, people are going to buy more, and that's what happened. I made one post, and like I said, in the past like 2 weeks, I've sold $40,000 worth of 151 boxes and cases. It's
That's the
nuts. Like
beauty of flipping versus investing, in my opinion. It's what we are always harping on is keeping it moving and make it so that when things like that, you don't
yeah,
get
like
hit,
and I like don't get me wrong, like I feel bad. Like when I first started the Japanese seal, like and I have people that will vouch for me, like I sold people cases at what the time was like market price. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, the price went down and I felt bad. Like I legitimately felt bad. I was like, oh man, like I charged these people. I wasn't like gouging them or anything. It wasn't like I was getting
no,
cases
you're
for like
charging good prices, actually. Some of the
yeah,
best
like
on the market.
I was being, you know, as competitive as I could be, but then I felt
You
bad. I was like,
couldn't tell the
oh
market
man,
was going to happen. It's not you
yeah,
don't
like
have a crystal ball. Yeah.
you can't predict. To be honest though, like as confident as I am in 151, just because I don't know what's like the only like stuff I have kind of like set back to sell locally and also just to kind of sit on. The only stuff I have set back, other than the Evolving Skies, is V-Star Universe, and V-Star Universe has been very steady. Um, hasn't fluctuated. We sell a decent amount of that through like Dan's eBay and stuff like that. But I don't even have like a long term position yet in 151 because I think it's going to get like a little bit cheaper. I probably should like buy some stuff to sit on, sell through at shows, and just sort of like let slowly appreciate in the background. But that's kind of like my move is like I'll buy a chunk that I'm like, yeah, I could probably sell through this in like a couple months, just selling through it at a local show. And then if it goes up over time, great. But like I still have the out. Like right now, for me, it's all about like turn and burn. You know, like here's the
And that's
price.
safe. And that's the safe
Yeah,
way of it. We
it's a
always
lot.
harp on that in this podcast. And I think that's what's really smart about you. And also, to a lesser extent, I think I hold in things. I'm a little more comfortable holding things than probably you are in some regards. And the other way, it goes both ways, though, because you're that way with some things too. But yeah, I think we are both always talking about that on this podcast, how important it is to, if you are going to be illiquid and not be selling things and not be flipping it, to be very prepared with the high amount of risk. That's why I get so bent out of shape, and why I get so, like, I guess people call me bearish about like investing in Pokemon when people say it's like a safe bet or it's like a no-brainer and it's all these things, like it beats the S&P. They talk about like it's being a better investment than all these like more real safe investments. It kind of irks me a little bit because it absolutely is not. This is fancy. This is shiny cardboard. There's nothing that makes it go up. There's nothing that will demand that it goes up in price. It's like it's by luck, by demand, and by all kinds of crazy magic that is the market. And the market, I
Yeah.
should use in air quotes, is something we talk about ad nauseum, that we who claim to be somewhat experts in it, we, neither you or I would claim to understand the market at this point. We just play in it. It's a big sandbox, and there's some weird shit in that sandbox we don't know is in there. You don't want to dig in that side of the sandbox. Just stay over here, you know? So it's just it's a very interesting conversation, I think.
Well, I think it's like different too if you have, like, if you set a time horizon versus like a price target. That's where, like, it can kind of get a little bit rough, because if you're like, oh, I need to sell it by this date, or I want to sell it by this date, but it hasn't moved yet, like you might miss the move, because that is how a lot of this stuff tends to work. Is like it'll be kind of steady for a while, and then it'll just kind of like gap up out of nowhere. And that's with like single cards too, right? Like same sort of thing. Like everybody's selling at the same price, and then it finally gets to where like the selling pressure just alleviates. The next person up that has copies is like, yeah, I won't take anything below this, and then things sort of like leg up a little bit. And if you miss that, like, then yeah, you were sitting on dead money for however long. You can't really time this stuff. And yeah, that's why I try not to sit on a whole lot. I'd rather like make the money now and keep it rocking and rolling. I do feel bad, like I don't. Yeah, like because I imagine like a lot of these people placing. I mean, I could be like, maybe these people have local outlets, or they're rippers, or whatever, like, and they have places to unload this stuff.
You're talking about people who bought like cases from you over
Yeah,
their
yeah, and like
room, sort of
and
thing. Yeah.
some people are buying like small amounts, right? Like I have a 20 box minimum order right now. So like some people are just buying like 20 boxes, which is like, all right, even if the price drops $10 a box or whatever, you lost $200 on paper, which isn't, I mean, it's not great, but it's not like worse things could happen, right? But like people that are buying like 100 and 150 boxes, a lot of the time, like, they are sellers and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, this person probably has an outlet. They can probably sell through this at a show or something like that. But I do feel like I don't want anybody to like lose money. But again, like if your goal is to invest, like you have to understand that you're not always going to buy the bottom. Like with English, it's a little bit better because people are, or a little less volatile, I should say, because out the gate usually is when, or seems to be like when it's pretty much cheapest. Like it'll go down to like $80 a box or something like that when you buy cases, and it's like, all right. And even if it goes to like 78 or something, or 75, if you're buying a case, like if you lose $5 a box, you lost $30. Like who cares, right? It's not that big of a deal. And it's just less volatile with English for sure. But because Japanese always sells above MSRP out the gate. Like that's like literally every set sells 30 to 40% above MSRP out the gate. Even the bad sets. Like I think Night Wanderer right now is selling for like $50. That's probably like a $32 box on Pokemon Center Japan. So everything still sells for like a big premium. Whereas with English, distributors, or not distributors, but like resellers that have distribution, they're like, oh man, and they'll come out and they'll lose like $5 a box, right? So it's just a completely different dynamic, and that's why like the floor is a little easier to time. But with Japanese, it's just yeah, it's tougher to know and like where you get it from and all that stuff. Like, you know, you can get better prices and all that sort of stuff, but like you can't have a time horizon. You just have to have more of like a price target. Like, okay, I'm buying these boxes at X price. I'm gonna wait until it gets to X price, take X amount off the table, and then let the rest ride or whatever your goal is. But like, uh, yeah, I mean, like just demand has not shifted at all. Like yeah, the prices are different, but like the demand is still crazy. So, and but I
Yeah, I
like
think people are still here collecting and enjoying the hobby for sure. I think though I just hear a lot less people asking about Japanese specifically these days than I did when it was booming, which is
yeah, I mean,
obviously
like
something.
I think the prices are definitely like a part of that too. Like money follows money, right? So like right now,
Now
like
it's all
English,
alternate arts. That's all anyone ever
yeah,
asks about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, people are going
English.
towards like Sword and Shield era. Like anything full art is cooking, right? And like that's what is hot on the market right now. But like I'm glad that people are negative on Japan. I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like there's no money to be made. It's all out. Like I'm like when people are negative. Like I built my business at a time when people were super hyper negative. So like now that people are hyper negative, like I said, like yeah, man. Like I don't want to like brag or talk about a number, but like my business has exploded in the past 2 or 3 months, and I haven't done anything different. I haven't like gravitated towards English anymore. In my vlog that I'm uploading, like you'll see pretty much all the cards that I bought at Collecticon to grade were English because I need more English. Like I like to have English, and my only real time that I get a chance to source is when I go to like card shops or card shows. So I try to pick up as much English as possible, but um yeah,
Buying
man. I mean,
English
like,
online is dark. Being English buying online is dark.
yeah, it's not great. Even buying on eBay and stuff, and it takes so much time, and it's like, I don't know.
I don't
It's
mess
not
with it.
really
I only buy my English in person as well. I buy all my Japanese online though, for sure.
the quality is just it's not great. Like there's so many issues, even in the Scarlet and Violet stuff. Like there's so many issues. I looked at so many cards, terribly off center, white dings, little lips, all sorts of different stuff. But
There's
yeah, man.
something we need to talk about that in this era. I want to know: have you seen there be like a quality change in the Scarlet and Violet era grading compared to Sword and Shield? Because I've seen so many tens.
Definitely lower. It's
Yeah, because
definitely
I see tens all the time that people trade to me, and I take them when I see them from Scarlet and Violet more often than I do from Sword and Shields as slabs, because I know how hard it is to get a 10. I have a 10 Alakazam from 151 right now, the alternate art that has white dots on 3 corners, and it's a PSA 10. And I was like, I would look at that card if someone traded it to me, and I would look at it and I'd say, okay, that's being sold raw. I would never in 1,000 years send that card to PSA to get graded. And I look at it and I'm like, why did this get a 10 when it has the white? And it's not just that card. Then I look at like a slow poke that I got traded in, that an AR slow poke. It has a 1 white dot on a corner. Okay, it's only 1 white dot, but in Sword and Shield era, that would not stand. You wouldn't see a white dot on a PSA 10 alternate art. Maybe you'd see an off-centered one, but you wouldn't see a white dot on it. So it's like I'm kind of thinking, are my standards too high now when I'm sending cards in? And that's why I'm not sending the Scarlet and Violet era and profiting as much as I could. Should I be sending more to PSA from Scarlet and Violet and lowering my standards? And by me, I mean, should you, the viewer, the listener, should you, Nick, should we be sending more potential, like, that we thought would not get tens, and are we leaving money on the table there? Is that a whole nother podcast? Like, what do you
I
think?
think I think they definitely grade on a curve for English. I remember one time my barber sent a couple cards with me from one of his friends, and he was like, "Yeah, he wants these graded," and I was like, I don't know, man." Like I pre-graded them in the barber shop, and I was like, "These." It was the gold Charizard from Obsidian Flames. I don't know. It's probably like ultra rare or whatever. But anyways,
Mhm.
I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. Like these same thing, like white dots, little lips, and stuff like that." And I was like, neither of these will 10.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Oh, he doesn't care. He wants to send them anyways." So I sent them in with my sub. One of them got an 8.5, which is the first
The
time
weirdest grade I've ever seen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never gotten an 8.5 from PSA, but that one got an 8.5, and then one of them got a 10. And I was like, what? Like, no way in hell this got a 10. Like, this is crazy. And again, like, that's 2 cards. It's very small. We'll see though. Like, I sent the alt art sub off that was all English. It was I'm pretty sure it was like all Sword and Shield now that I think about it. But I'm very picky. I err on the side of like I'm not one of those. I know that PSA makes mistakes. Like I sent a screen Eevee that I expected to get like an 8 and it got a 10. And so I sent it straight to auction through the vault because it had clear whitening on top. It was like, dude, how did you miss this? But anyways, I personally tend to err on the side of caution because to me, to deploy the $15 and wait versus just like even if I have to break even or lose $1 or whatever, reselling that card raw onto the market to get the money back now versus like the chance of me spending another $15 waiting for a month or two and then getting it back and it nines and then I'm losing on that. Like it's just I have always been very conservative on like what I send, and I have like a really high 10 rate, I guess, because of it. Am I probably losing out on some money? Sure, but I don't know. Personally, like I always err on the side of caution. Even if I think PSA is grading easier, I try not to like lower my standards because all it takes is like one strict grader the time that you lowered your standards and then you just get decimated on a sub and lose a bunch of money. So for me personally, probably not. But like obviously I never expect an English card to be as clean as a Japanese card because it's just never gonna be. But I try to avoid like white dots and try to be like pretty. The one thing I am less worried about is back centering. Like if the front looks really good and the front scene, like I'm like I don't care about back centering unless it's like really egregious. I'm like yeah whatever. Like I don't think they're gonna nine you based on back centering in my experience. But yeah, that would be my rant.
It's funny because I think I might be the opposite about centering. Whenever I see a card on the front, I almost don't even blink before I turn the card over. I'll barely even look at the front of the card before I'm immediately turning it over and looking at the back. When someone hands me a card at a convention when I'm trying to be quick about it, I turn it over right away. I don't even look at the front when they're like handing me. I'm like, oh, to see if it's clean or not. And so that's funny because you say the front matters the most to you. To me, the back is all that matters when I'm looking at a card. So I wonder how PSA graders see it. If they're more like someone who's like me or someone who's more like, it probably is, each grader is a little bit different based on preference. You know what I mean? So yeah, very interesting conversation to have. I always wonder about that with PSA. Like you always hear about old certs being like lower grade, but then I just saw an old cert that looked pristine. And so you always have cases in both where, you know, there's a clean card in an old cert case or a really unclean card that's got a 10 and an old cert. You can see examples of both. And I think in the new certs, you're going to see that now with what I've seen examples from the Scarlet and Violet. There's going to be a time in history when people look at those cards and say, these don't look like PSA 10s. And they might say from the 9 era, you know, whatever the 9 cert or 8 cert era. I think we're in 8 still going into 9s now.
We're on 9. We're on 9 already.
You're hitting the 9s now. Yeah, my last cert was still 8s. I think I'm not sure, but it was it was like a month ago. So, yeah. So they're gonna say maybe this era is a little softer on certain English cards, and maybe that's something to be aware of. I don't know. Kind of interesting, though.
Even with them being softer though, like the pop reports, like the 10 rates are so low. Like I think they're like 35% or something on Scarlet and Violet for chase cards, and it was like 60+% gem rate on Sword and Shield. So yeah, it's the quality has definitely gone down. But like last thing I'll say, since we were talking about like the reprint and stuff, I think right now being that it's like arguably a weaker block, like Sword and Shield, there was a lot to choose from, and like almost everything, even battle styles in Sword and Shield, is like rocketing right now and doing well. Even the sets that only have like one good chase card. So to me, if you look at Scarlet and Violet, and this is like if you're trying to invest or whatever, if you're looking at Scarlet and Violet and you're like, all right, this is overall weak block, there's obvious standouts, and 151 is one of them. Paldean Fates maybe is another one. Um, These are obvious standouts, and everything's still cheap. So like you have an opportunity now to pick up the best sets for dirt cheap. And there's going to be so many people that are like, "Oh, I don't know, like yeah, it's like it's going to change or whatever." But it's just like, and even with Japanese, like I feel the exact same way. It's like people, now that there's a lot of it and stuff is still cheaper, again, still selling for above MSRP, even the bad sets that come out, but like people are just like not going to want it, and then all of a sudden they're just going to miss it. And that's in either language, but like I definitely feel that way with Japanese. And so to me, it's like if you're trying to invest, like but people just won't do it though. Like people will still just be like, "Ah, yeah, like no one want," and then they'll just
Why are
miss it.
you investing in Pokemon for the first question? Because most of those people who like want to invest, I guarantee haven't maxed out any of their more tax leverage, safe, traditional investment accounts, and aren't even looking
I
at
think
safe investments. I think if you're looking to invest, what you're doing is looking to like throw your money and gamble at something, and it's not
well,
about safety; it's more about fun. And I'd say just buy what you
yeah.
want.
I think it's a few things though. I think like part of the reason that people well, one, it's fun. Like I think finances, like traditional finance is fun to me. Like
It's
analyzing
not
a
to most
company's
people though.
yeah,
Pokemon's way more
exactly.
fun. Like
For
I think
sure.
I would
So
way rather put my money in Pokemon. I wouldn't say
yeah.
invest because I feel like I'd be better off investing in a real investment account that has like actual returns that is a little safe, insured by all these things that Pokemon doesn't have
Yeah.
as safety nets.
So I think one, it's more fun for most people. Two, I
Yeah,
think it gives you there's this. I mean, like I've seen this in trading discords. I've seen this in like NFT discord. Like
gives you a
there is
community.
yeah, there's a
Yeah,
community and like a grouping.
exactly.
And so I think like when people are like, "Oh, you bought a case?" Like, "Yeah, I bought a case too." And it's like, "Oh, we're in this together." Type.
Camaraderie. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
yes,
like
brother, we are
yeah,
together in this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that
Like
there's like a community aspect about it, and I think that like people obviously like have made a decent amount of money if they sat on like the right sets over time. Like 2.5, 3 years goes by, and like you'll see some decent decent growth on your money there. But I think part of it, and this is with people gambling in the stock market and crypto too.
yeah, they
I
gamble
think
in that just like they gamble in a casino, just like with Pokemon cards. You
yeah,
can
yeah.
gamble in
I,
the stock
I think
market.
I think people like there's compound interest calculators and blah 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 that you can put into where it's like you put in a small-ish amount per month and you do it every month for the next 30 years, and like you guaranteed will be a millionaire, multimillionaire in retirement or whatever with average compounding and dividend reinvestment and blah 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 blah. But people don't want to do that. People feel disenfranchised and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm broke now, so I need to take more risk so that I won't be broke." Like that's the only way I'm going to see the kind of gains that I need in order to change my financial situation. So I think people are like, all right, well, if I put 5,000 here, like it's not as sexy with like what the return profile looks like. Even if the risk profile is a lot more attractive and safer to those people, they're like, all right, well, I've seen all these other boxes do really well. I'm mad that I didn't buy Evolving Skies. I want to put my money into a box that's 7X's in 3 years, and that'll make me rich or whatever, right? And so I think there's that aspect of it too, but a lot of it is just it's all psychology. And I think like when people are hyper negative on stuff, like it's a good time to be. And again, that's why I'm like I like that people are so negative on Japanese right now, because I'm like, great, like this
Yeah,
is this is a great time to be in. And yeah, we'll just like cook on the low. But it's the same thing in English too. Like people are hyper negative in English, and it's like if you miss the best, most obvious stuff like 151 because you're like, oh, I don't know or whatever. Yeah, there might be reprints, blah blah blah. But it's like if you miss that because people are so negative and you're so worried about what everybody else is saying about the block, and you miss something so glaringly obvious like that, but that's just human psychology with investing in general. And I don't like obviously like that's never going to change. Like it just is what it is. And
Like, people really need to learn to think for themselves. The moral of the story is really very much so is if you can really think for yourselves, and I don't mean just like go after, like, think for yourself, and if you think it's right. If you have the thought and you can justify it in a real logical way, and you have reasons, if you have good reasons for what you're doing, and nobody else cares or nobody else agrees with you or believes you, it doesn't matter. As long as you have good reasons, believe in yourself,
Yeah,
and
and I mean, like
that.
sometimes
Yeah.
you're going to be right, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. But like, I think the main thing that's different too is like obviously we're betting. This is all a supply demand equation and
Mhm.
popularity equation. It has nothing to do with like fundamentals or productive output or new products or innovation or
Yeah.
increasing profit margins or share buybacks or anything that goes into equity evaluation. This is all based on supply and demand. And so a lot of it is just educated guessing at things that seem really cool to you. And you expect that over time, supply is going to dwindle and demand will stay relatively the same. And the prices on that stuff will go up. Like that's pretty much all it is. And that's whether like you're speculating on singles or, and so that's why when people talk about like market manipulation and stuff, it's like this isn't market, like this is, and people don't understand, like nothing is static forever. It's the same thing with inflation. Like people are like, oh, inflation is really high, and inflation has ramped back up for sure, but
Well,
like
there is
inflation
some market manipulation that occurs even in these unregulated markets, in these collectibles that aren't like assets that are actual.
for
That's
sure,
like
but like I would almost argue like it's not, I would almost argue it's not market manipulation. It's just more.
fraud.
No, like I would. Okay, market manipulation to me is when like a card is selling for $100 on TCG Player, and like a zero feedback seller lists one for like 175, and then has their buddy buy it. So now it
Yep,
sets the
yep.
new. That
That's
is
market
market
manipulation. I
manipulation.
agree.
But when people go and buy out cards, that's not market manipulation. That's like concentrated demand. And like let's say
Yeah.
10 cards sell over the course of a week versus selling in a day.
I
If
think
those
a lot of
cards,
people would agree with that distinction. I think it feels scummy potentially when things go up in price organically, like you're talking about. So it gets the whole buyout, that term gets like a bad rap. But I don't think that's market manipulation. But like what you described, when it's a seller buying from himself with no intention, it's non competitive, that becomes market manipulation. So I think
yeah, yeah,
there's
that
shades of gray in
yeah.
that, for sure.
But it's like, okay, so if a card has like 15 listings and the remaining 5 that are left over after 10 get bought are a leg up in price, if the initial 10 listings sell over the course of a week versus selling in a day, what's the difference? Like, but one is
Yeah, no,
market
there's no
manipulation.
difference.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Like, but
Yeah.
people attribute, they're like, oh, it's market manipulation. It's like it's not market
As
manipulation.
long
So
as it
somebody
wasn't a
came in.
coordinated group, one
But
coordinated
even if
group.
that's what I'm saying though, even if it is like a coordinated
Well, then you
buyout,
start getting into the whole argument that it becomes a little more gray and less gray, and it becomes more black or white in the side of the market manipulation. Because if it is one
yeah,
coordinated group,
I
what's the
don't
difference
know
between one person and one group?
if there is only 500 of something out there, and you and I both look at that thing and go, "Wow, that's really cheap." There's only 500 of that out there. It would cost X amount to take 400 of those off the market. That like okay, let's say it's a dollar card just for easy math. Like there's 500 available. We're like, all right, well we can wipe out 400 out of the 500 for $400. Shoot, we could wipe out 499 out of the 500 for $499. And we
No,
decide that that makes sense financially. What is wrong with that? Like if we're like this should be a $2 card, to me
now,
it's like
nothing's wrong with it as long as all we're doing is buying it and then selling it. But if we are buying it and then reselling it to ourselves, posting it at a higher price, and then having other
yeah,
people buy it
yeah,
and sell it, that
yeah.
becomes market manipulation, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I
There,
just
there's
don't
a
think
Even
I
with that example, there are layers to it. I would have to say there would have to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with like booster boxes though. Like every time stuff goes up in value, people are like, "Oh, it's market," and I'm like, "Dude, it's not. It's just that it is what it is. Like eventually, people run out of stuff, and
That
it
works
goes
for
up in price."
goods, in that type of a buyout would potentially and theoretically it would work, and it would be easily trackable for serialized goods. Where it starts getting a little more gray and where it starts becoming a little bit harder to track and becoming more of a fluid area of morality is when when the company who makes these goods doesn't disclose how much is made, and then it's sold as it's a collectible,
That's
as
the
it's a
fun of
limited good.
the market. That's the fun of the market. I mean, that's like
Right,
Pokemon
and I
is,
agree with that, but I
yeah.
do think that there is a very we have the podcast, so we'll talk about it at length, I'm sure, for many years to come. But this there is I think in collectibles the ability for market manipulation to occur. I agree with you that that's not everything is market manipulation. I think that term it's kind of like the term Nazi that got thrown around a lot too fluidly, in my opinion. Not everyone who got called a Nazi is actually like a Nazi swastika wearing. It was just a buzzword for a long time. And I think that we've gotten a little bit far away from that for the most part. But I think it's the same thing with market manipulation. People just call everything market manipulation because they don't like it, or they think it's like the harshest thing. It's like you're talking about a price going up. It must be market manipulation. You must be manipulating it. It's like, no, hold on. It's like there's nuance to this. So yeah, I think there's levels. And I think that as it matures, we'll see it mature a little bit too, the market.
Yeah, I think ultimately too, like over time, like it's again, like it's a supply and demand equation. It makes sense that over time, like things that are in demand go up in price, but I think that that has to continue happening in order for people to like maintain confidence, because the biggest moves happen when people are wiping off like large chunks of things off the market, whether it's like a streamer because they want to rip and they need packs for like crazy legs up don't just happen based on like people buying one box off TCG Player to rip for themselves and then
We're
over
clearing
time.
out your entire target. That is not market
Yeah,
manipulation,
yeah,
because there is not, like, you can't just because you bought it all. That's not market manipulation because you didn't buy it all.
yeah. No, you definitely did,
You
but I don't
couldn't.
know. Like I think things have to keep. I think if things like even if we entered a 2.5 year period of pure stagnation to where you didn't necessarily lose money, but things just
Okay,
stagnated,
but
I
well,
think
here's
that people would lose so much confidence in the investing. Certain people would, like Rudy's not going to, people that are like well insulated financially, but a lot of people that are out here that are buying like, I don't know, 3 to 5 to 10 cases or whatever. If that sat stagnant for like 3 years, I think that so like
be
the
bad.
it
That'd
would
be
take
bad.
longer in the future for things to move up, because I think less people would be buying chunky positions. Because you also
Yeah,
have to think too, like who are the people buying at the bottom or close to the bottom most of the time? Like regular people to open probably aren't buying cases. They might be buying a box and they're happy, like, oh, cool, I can get it from P Football Pete for $85. But I don't think regular people are buying like 2 cases of booster boxes every set that comes out, even if they get down to like eight, right? So if people stop making money on the investing over time, how much demand is that going to take off the market? I don't. It's an
and that
interesting.
might then create more demand because then becomes more scarce because there's less of these like investors thrown in their closet. So I think that what we saw in 2020 was unprecedented. Even in the boom of 2016, when we had Pokemon boom and all these like cards went up in price, it still didn't create this huge like sealed investor mentality that we got from the 2020 boom, 2021 boom. And so I think that we've never seen it before. And that's why there's this whole dichotomy between like investors then, investors now. People say every Pokemon box has gone up in price, is because they're looking at it through a lens of every Pokemon box before 2021 basically has gone up in price. And then they look at the few years afterwards where people are having this memory. And that has been the case for the most part after that as well. But we've seen a little weakness there. And then you start seeing some arguments being made for both cases. Oh, well, maybe there's going to be a time where it stops. And I don't know where we land on this, because sometimes I'm bullish and sometimes I'm not on that. But I don't
I don't.
invest
I don't.
in.
I don't necessarily think that like the interest in, I mean, like the market is super strong right now. I mean, Collecticon definitely showed that. I mean, there is so much money
How can
sloshing
you go to
around.
a Collecticon and not feel like that, right? I mean,
Yeah, but like
anyone who's
sometimes, like Dallas was dark.
oh,
Dallas was
really?
well,
Well,
the
when
one
you and
we
I
went.
went, that was
Yeah,
Fort
yeah,
Worth. Don't call
yeah.
that Dallas. That
Oh
was
yeah, my
Fort
bad.
Worth.
Fort Worth was dark, but like
'Cause I
Orlando, super
venture to
popping.
say I think we would have had a good time in Dallas, but Fort Worth, that's another story.
Yeah. So like there's so much overwhelming liquid, and like other markets are doing good too, right? Like the stock market's doing really well. Crypto, I think Bitcoin's like back over 70 again or something like that. So like crypto, when there's so much liquidity, like there's a lot of wealth creation happening right now. There's probably not as much wealth destruction. I mean, if you're going and doing like ripping ships and stuff like that, you're probably destroying some of your wealth, but like boxes are going up, crypto's going up, stock market's going up. Like there's a lot of wealth creation right now. There's a lot of liquidity out there right now, and I think that that's like it's not like that's just all of a sudden going to evacuate and everything's going to go to zero, or you're not going to be able to make money like sitting on Pokemon or anything like that. Like I don't necessarily think that that's the case, but I just think that I don't even know. Like we're going in circles at this point, but I
Yeah, we're just talking
I
at
guess
this point, but it's good
yeah,
conversation.
I guess all I would say is think about like what your plans and like your goals are, and like going back to the whole point about like a time horizon versus a price target and stuff like that. Like you, part of the reason that Rudy wins is because he's so insulated financially that he can just afford to be patient and sit on things and wait. And so I know it's like, oh, I have to make a video for YouTube now talking about what's going on now, but like investing in general, whether it's in Pokemon or whether it's like in other markets, like it's boring. Like it is. Like you buy and you sit and you wait. And like every day, oh, there's a reprint happening, or like this person made a good video, this person made a bad video. Like you have to do that sort of stuff for YouTube. But if you don't have like a long time horizon, or if you're not actually willing to buy when things are dark and you're just gonna write it off like, oh, no one wants that anymore. It's like what? Like you're probably not gonna be successful. So if like your whole thing is, oh, okay, well, I'm only going to buy these sets. I'm only buying Sword and Shield. I'm going to completely avoid Scarlet and Violet because Sword and Shield is what's really hot. Scarlet and Violet people aren't as stoked on. It's like you're missing it. Same thing with Japanese. If like your whole thing is like, oh yeah, like Japanese, like it was fake demand or like whatever. It's like you're gonna miss it, right? Like you have to be willing to like buy when it's dark, buy when no one wants it. And to like Rudy's point, like Rudy bought sets that literally no one wanted. Like not only did he buy Sword and Shield, but like he went heaviest on like Chilling Rain and stuff like that, and
Uh,
and, and
I
even
want to
battle
say
style.
though, a lot of people talk about Rudy and they use him as an example a lot, and they fail to do the math on what his Patreon has done for him and allowed
Yeah,
him
he's
to do.
insulated. Yeah,
That
he's
so when you
insulated
say he's
for sure.
insulated, what you mean is he has a Patreon of 10,000 plus members that pay $15 a month minimum. It's sometimes more than that to sometimes not even order. So you do the math yourself, and the Patreon's once per month. Patreon takes a chunk, but how much money per month does Rudy get from Patreon? Most likely, and you tell me how confident you would be in trading card games if you had a bunch of sweaty neckbeard Rudy patrons giving you X amount of money after you do that math and figure it out. Tell me how willing and able you would be to buy X, Y, Z. And Rudy's
Yeah,
an
if
idiot.
you
He
if
buys
you're
Magic. Rudy's a freaking
yeah.
idiot. If Rudy actually had any real brains, if Rudy was smart and cared about making money, he would buy more Pokemon than Magic. He wouldn't be buying Magic at
I
all.
don't think he likes Pokemon though.
No,
I
he
think
doesn't. That's the problem. He
Magic
follows his
is like
heart too
his
much. That's
yeah,
that's what I
Magic
mean. Like Rudy has a
is his
Patreon
baby.
that insulates him. So I don't want nobody who talks about Rudy talks enough about his Patreon. It's mentioned. He'll talk about he look at how many members he has and
But
how much it
even
costs.
even but that's kind of the point, and like obviously he's doing it at such a scale, but like that's kind of the whole point with this too, is like you
Easy to
probably
be
should
bullish
not
at that
you
point.
yeah, when you shouldn't be doing this if you're not like there's this whole thing like with Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett and how much money they have like just sitting in cash, like doing nothing, right? Like completely uninvested. I mean, earning an interest rate, but like completely uninvested, like not exposed to the market. And the whole issue that people talk, it's like, okay, well, with that much the capital, when you like the more and more capital you get, like you start running out of places to stick it effectively, right? And like that's probably what you should be doing with like collectible investing. Like you should be at the point to where like you have some excess funds that you're like, all right, well, I'm already maxed out on this, I'm already maxed out on that, I'm chilling, like all my bills are paid for, my retirement, blah 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 blah. And then you have some excess money, you're like, okay, well, I want this money to make money. That's the best place to be if you're trying to do like the Pokemon investing thing, because you're not going to sell too early, because that money is just sort of like, okay, well, I have to deploy this somewhere, right? If it's money that like you instantly need to turn around, or need to turn around within like 6 to 12 months or whatever, that's where it's like, oof. You know what I mean? Like that is not a good place to be as an investor. So like if your whole goal is to like get into this and like you just want to do the passive investing side of it, like you need to have some sort of financial insulation to be able to continue buying on the way down. If you don't
By
buy it like that,
installation, he means you need to be fucking rich. That's what
yeah,
he needs. If you're investing in Pokemon, you need to be a fucking whale. Don't let Nick and his big words confuse any of you small-brained 8 Pokemon investors out there. If you aren't a whale, what are you fucking doing? I'm sorry. You should be flipping, not investing. This is financial advice. If you're not a whale, what the fuck are you doing investing in Pokemon? Go ahead and clip that.
Yeah, I mean, most people, I like to
or
think.
If you have a Patreon pulling in $50,000 a month, yeah, invest in some fucking Pokemon cards.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah,
and then make videos about it. Jesus.
Yeah, you definitely like.
But don't use that as justification that you see this guy online who does it successfully in Florida, who has a Patreon, as someone that you look up to, and you're gonna do it in your small time little closet with your Wendy's job, you know, that you got fixing the Frosty machine. So listen,
Wendy's,
I'm on the phone with the manager at Wendy's too. Okay, I know what your bills look like, and you can't afford to sell. You can't afford to invest in Pokemon. So
Wendy's has caught a lot of heat on this podcast. We apologize to
listen.
Wendy's.
I love my old employer just as much as the next guy.
Did you actually work at Wendy's?
No, hell no.
Oh, okay.
I worked at Starbucks before. That's the fastest I've gotten. The closest I've gotten to a fast food job. That was my first job.
Definitely a little more respectable than Wendy's for sure. But
it is not respectable. That is my biggest gripe about working at Starbucks when I did is, first of all, I was 16, okay? I was 16, and they call you a partner when you work. It's like Disney calling you a cast member when you work there, just because they want to pay you like subpar wages and then make you feel good about it somehow. Let's say you're like a partner. So first of all, when you work there, when you're a teenager, at the time, it was like 2008 or 2007 maybe. The whole thought Starbucks is like, oh, that's a good company to work for. They're on the up and up. You want to work for Starbucks. So like every adult that I talked to, when I told them I work for Starbucks, like, oh, good job, young man. That's a great job to be at. Bro, it's just a glorified McDonald's job. That's all it was. And they didn't give a crap about me.
Okay, Starbucks has gotten like progressively more, like you said, like more fast foody. I feel like when I was, and maybe it was because I was a kid and you're like, ooh, Starbucks. But like, I feel like when we were kids, Starbucks was like a little nicer.
That was when I was working there. It was still had that whole like, oh, it's Starbucks. Like, but I knew right away, even my 16-year, okay, maybe I was a cynic.
I think it's the drive-throughs. The drive-throughs made it seem like, it was like, what? Like,
yeah, mine had a drive-through. So maybe that's why it felt like it was a McDonald's. Is mine that I worked for. I went to the headquarters to train. I had to go to Sacramento, go to the headquarters of Starbucks in California, train for like 2 weeks, do this whole thing where they indoctrinate you. They teach you the history and why what's his face in Seattle that started the company was like your God and Savior, and he's the best thing that ever existed, and you should always be thankful for him. Before you go to bed, you thank him. When you wake up at 4 a.m. to clock into your shift because you slept on the ground there, you should thank that guy who started Starbucks. That was the whole thing about the indoctrination. But yeah, that was my first job and the only job I ever did with fast food. So a lot of shade being thrown at Wendy's is not intentional. I love Wendy's.
I boycotted Starbucks for a while because Howard Schultz sold the Sonics. back in the day, and I was
that was the guy, the Howard
yeah,
Schultz. That's
Howard
the guy.
Schultz,
How did
yeah.
I forget that? I just try to block that out now.
Yeah,
But
he's a mega printer. All right, to put a bow on this, last thing I was gonna say, like back to the whole insulation point. If that's like your position, like being insulated, that's the best place you want to be if you want to do it, because you can keep buying on the way down. A reprint hits, oh, I'll just buy another case, like, and you just keep sort of like DCAing down. And then on the other side of it, like you can wait, like you are insulated, you can wait, and that's how you're gonna see like the best gains or whatever. Like you can, and when things start taking off, you can sell a chunk of the position, take the principal off the table. So now you're playing with house money and let the rest of the stuff ride, right? Like you could have sold your Evolving Skies at like $300 to $400 and then left a couple things, back to, and then, maybe when they started rocking up to 700, then like you can sell at that point. But like you can only really feasibly do that if you're insulated. Like if you're insulated, like that's the best spot that you want to be. But again, like that's for most people, like it's like if you have a job and like that, like
okay, so theoretically, there were some people who weren't insulated who sold Evolving Skies when it was $600 a box, their English Evolving Skies, to buy in to 151 when it dropped from 180 to 100. Right, and to get in early at that 100 because everyone was saying you have to buy now. Even on this podcast, we said the chance to buy cases is now, but loose boxes is most likely later. That was the narrative online, not just here but everywhere. And people then, what I think theoretically, sold a lot of Evolving Skies at 600 or 4,000 a case, whatever it is per case, to buy Japanese 151 when it was low. Those people got fucking cooked. And I'm sorry if you're one of them listening, because you probably see my voice and inflection is I don't feel bad for you because I fucking warned you. I told you. So I don't feel bad. No. And if you're listening, thank you. I appreciate that. But I don't feel bad for you because I fucking told you.
First one back is super, super wild and spicy. But yeah, but again, like if you were insulated, like you should be buying now. Like if you liked it at 100, you should really like it at 65. Like
if you're that rich,
if it goes any lower, like you should really like it at that price. But yeah, man, like I don't know. But generally, like most of the people that I've come into contact with in the hobby are, and maybe that's just because
not insulated. Say not insulated because
I was gonna say insulated because most of the people but
Dan's insulated. He's the only person I know who's really insulated. You might be well insulated, but most people in this hobby are not well insulated, bro. If they have a 9 to 5, they can handle maybe one setback, like 151 going from 180 to 100, 2 times before they leave the
position
hobby.
Sizing too, right? It's like how much you put into it, right? Like I think that's like a consideration too. But I don't.
How much money would you have to be as a filthy casual how much money would you be comfortable as a filthy casual losing in your hobby before you're like, I'm out? Or let me ask you more realistically, how much money would your wife or significant other be comfortable with you losing before they start realizing it and tell you have to leave the hobby?
Yeah, I mean,
honey, I've got a great opportunity. 151 just dropped. It was 200 a box, okay? And it's now $100. This is our only chance. I swear to God. Honey, this is great. No, it's not going to affect it's not going to affect our Hawaii trip this year. No. We're going to be fine for rent. It's fine. No. Okay, I just need a loan. That's all, honey. And so how many of those wives are now having their husbands sleep on so I just want to talk about this.
It's all yeah, no, I like
now we don't have to go any more into it. Now that's at the back end of the podcast. We can have some fun, but
yeah, there's lots of layers of nuance and considerations, and ultimately it's like your personal situation, what ends up working best for you. But again, like I just think that more psychology wise, people are just not gonna get it. Like people, they're
gonna get cooked, like they always do. If they're investing,
people are just like hyper negative about stuff. They're like, oh, I don't want to touch that. That was a bubble, or that was a this, and it's like, all right, like sure,
Let's work that for a 1 in the flippers tile and 0 in the investors
Yeah, I
tile
mean,
or
but
marking them.
again, I see, because I'm doing the wholesale, the demand is so insane that like that
Those
is
poor
sort of a
people.
sentiment. That's a sentiment indicator to me that it's like, all right, well, maybe it's not going to move in 3 months, maybe it's not going to move in 6 months, but like over time, unless the Team Rocket set is just absolutely bonkers or they come out with some other stuff, over time, I've maintained this view and will continue to maintain this view. 151 will be the best performing product. Maybe not in English, but in Japanese, that will be the best performing product of the entire block, because the demand for it is just so insane. And probably in English, the only thing that holds it back in English is its specialty. So there's no like booster box. If it was a booster box, though, it would be the best performing set, like bar none. So I don't know how long that's going to take, but like that's my prediction. But again, if you want to invest in it, English or Japanese, you got to be insulated. You got to be ready for a reprint. You got to be ready to buy more if it goes down a little bit, and you have to be comfortable sitting on that for a while. You know, like that's just the nature. That's just the nature of how this stuff goes. But like, I would be very, very surprised if in either language, these didn't move up very aggressively over time. Like the demand for this stuff is just really strong. There's a lot of liquidity. The hobby is very strong. Like, I am more confident now, and this is not just because like, oh well, alt arts are taking off and boxes are taking off. Like, I'm just more confident now in the hobby that like there's so much infrastructure built out with businesses. There's just so much money, so much wealth creation that has happened, and people continually come into the hobby. Like I'm just not bearish at all. Like,
Oh yeah, no, neither am I, and I don't want to come across as bearish either. And when I say, "What are you doing investing in Pokemon?" what I mean is, you should still be playing in Pokemon, but I just don't think calling it investing and like dumping thousands and thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money that you maybe shouldn't be doing, if that's maybe not the best idea, when you still could be doing safer things, investing, if that's your true goal. But honestly, I think people should be playing in this sphere and having a great time. And I'm also more bullish on it than ever before, because honestly, it's a crazy market and there's a lot of money sloshing around and a lot of awesome stuff that Pokemon keeps making. So I get that. So let's not get it twisted there. But yes, I do want to take a little victory lap and tell people, I fucking told you guys. I told you guys this is gonna happen. So don't act like it's like news or something.
dude, I was completely wrong. Like, I had no idea at all. Like, I'm just operating on the information that I'm told, which is part of the time why I'm like, I don't want to like say too much one way or the other and make like
Yeah.
definitive. Like, I legitimately thought, oh, most of the stuff that's going to come out is going to be loose boxes. I didn't know that there was going to be, but now we're seeing like there's more cases as well.
Well,
The
to the
cases
best
are
of your
still,
knowledge, that's all that you knew. So
yeah.
it's just like you did. That's all you.
Yeah,
That's all
and I
you
mean, like
did.
the cases are still holding a premium for sure. Like the sealed cases on that V Star Shiny Treasure EX is still holding a premium to just getting the loose boxes. But yeah, I mean, like there's a good amount out there for sure, and I don't know, man. Like it's, but again, like that's,
Safer
but
investing in
even me
boxes
doing the
than
consistent flipping at some point, I want to have some chunk of 151, maybe like 50 or 100 boxes that I want to throw back, because I'm just like, one, like you're never
and
gonna
you
have
don't have
anything.
any yet. That's an
Yeah,
indicator.
I don't
Yeah,
have
so
any yet.
that's an indicator for sure.
I don't have any yet, but it's also like because it's been selling so. I think now like it's definitely like gonna even out or go down a little bit more as well, like as the reprint keeps on hitting. But yeah, man, like I said, the only thing I have right now is like I have a good chunk of V Star Universe. I have a couple cases, and then I have a ton of loose boxes. But
Some guy came up to
you're
me,
having
or came up to the table next to me at the show in Palm Springs, and I was listening to him negotiate with the vendor. And he didn't come to my table afterwards, which I was kind of thankful for because I didn't see what he had. But he was trying to sell something to the vendor, and he goes, "It's gonna go up in price. It's only going up in price." And in my head, I heard him say that out loud, and in my head, I just wanted to respond for the vendor and be like, then why don't you fucking keep it then? And like, if you're so sure it's gonna go up in price, like, why are you selling it? What's going on then? If that's the case, then so it is. And the guy
What
didn't
was
end up
it? Did
buying
you
it.
see
He
what it
didn't sell
was?
it. They were too far apart on prices, I'm sure, but it was just a funny like thought process, you know.
Yeah, I don't like you see that a lot with like sports card content too. It's like, oh, he's playing really good. His cards are going to keep going up. Like people say that to make
Is
deals and
he?
stuff. But
Are
I'm
they
brain.
though?
I'm huh?
It's
What'd you
like,
say?
is he though? Is he playing really good? Are they
Yeah,
gonna go up really? Is
I
like,
don't
are they actually?
I don't
Hmm.
know, but I'm pretty brain dead on the sealed like I just it's I mean it's interesting to have like a thought experiment and all that sort of stuff, but I just
We
yeah.
need to do the part. There are so many channels out there who are just so bullish, like brain dead bullish on sealed investing. And I get that that's like a part of like Pokemon and everything. It's cool. But we have to do our part at least a little bit in like combating some of that, because I think it does deserve to have a place in this hobby. But to be like the buy all end be all end all that like is
I
that's
mean
the golden.
I would say like I'm pretty brained like if we're just getting it down to the base idea that like good sets appreciate sealed over time, like I'm pretty brain dead bullish on that idea as well. I just think that there's a lot of like
A lot of
nuance
nuance.
and consideration, and like
Yeah.
I also don't think it's like the optimal place, especially like if you have limited, like if your goal is just to make money in this, and like you have limited capital, and you want like you can just do more like flipping in the short term to sort of like turn your money over and make more. Like that's just a fact. Like it just is what it is. I mean,
If
like
you want to
it's
be active about it, yeah.
yeah, if you
Like
want to be
day
active
trading.
about
It's
it.
like
But
the
like
day trading versus the yeah.
I'm pretty brain dead bullish that like most stuff will go up over time. But like again, there's always considerations. We talked about it last time, but like Shining Fates is you're down 50% on, and Vivid Voltage and all this other stuff. So like there are things that like seem obvious at the time. I don't think that's going to be the case with stuff like 151. Like I'd be very surprised if 151 did like a Shining Fates
You know
situation.
how long Evolution sat stagnant? You know how popular it was in 2016 when it came out? It was very, very popular. It's the only set people were ripping. Very, very big set. Very good set. It took almost 5 years for that set to move over the $100 market. And that was, it took a long time. It took a long time. So there is a world where it takes longer than people expect for a very good, very popular, very in high demand set to even move at all. And like, look at Hidden Fates right now. Hidden Fates has not moved and it won't fucking budge. Excuse my French, this
Is it really
podcast.
still not moving?
Dude, Hidden Fates won't budge.
Let me look.
Evolving Skies keeps trucking along. Team Up keeps trucking along. All those team up, those tag team, ununified minds. Hell, even Unbroken Bonds, even that's trucking along. Hidden Fates refuses to budge. But if you go back, I know I beat this with I beat it dead now, the whole Hidden Fates thing. But literally, that was all anyone wanted from 2019 to 2021 until Battle Styles came out. It was the only thing people wanted to invest in. Sure, people like the Chonkachu and Vivid Voltage. Sure, people like the Charizard from Darkness Ablaze and Shining Fates. But until we got alternate arts, the true chase of the hobby and investment quality modern to throw your money in, the money hole would have been Hidden Fates. That's what everyone would have said. So
Yeah, people. It was impossible to get during the boom for anything below like 150 or whatever. I totally agree with you. Everybody wanted that. Everybody
They
loved the
still
same
love it.
buzzwords.
People still love Hidden Fates to this day. It's still very well
Yeah,
thought about. Not one single person is going to say Hidden Fates is a bad set or that they wouldn't take some right now and rip it. But are people throwing money at it? No. Is there a big push? Is there do people feel FOMO like, oh, it's starting to run out now, time to get
well,
in? No,
part
they
of
feel that way about Sword and Shield. That's
part
what
of
they
that
feel it about.
part of that too might be. I mean, you have to remember like people were buying the tins at Target for what, 15, $20, and the ETBs were 40, $50. I think the reason potentially that it's plateaued is because it tripled out the gate versus like other things slowly like work their way up.
You mean like
Right?
Japanese 151 being 180 out the gate? That's basically triple or quadruple, right?
That's like 6 or 7x because it like on well, I mean, I could look right
What
now,
does
but
that say? What does that say about if Hidden Fates only tripled on release and it was that popular?
that's what I'm saying, man. Like people are so like they're like, oh, like yeah, Japanese, like it's on the way out. No one wants it. Like it was a bubble or whatever, and I'm just like, really? Like it was 7x MSRP. It's literally just a supply, like the exact same narratives that exist in English. It's the same exact thing with Japanese, but people feel less confident in Japanese because the market is less transparent. And so they feel like they can't understand. But it's like it's the same exact talking point. It's like, okay, if a set in English came out and was even 2x, if a set came out in English and even was MSRP, like even actually sold for 145 or 167 or whatever it is, people, if it got reprinted, all the investing channels would be like, it's sold for MSRP. You have to buy it. This is your last chance to buy it. It's reprinted now, and people are negative because there's a lot of supply, but it's $560 a case. You need to go out there and buy it right now. But like Japanese comes out, sells for 7x MSRP, and they're like, oh, it's a bubble popping. It's like, what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like it got reprinted, the price went down, and that was a bubble. Like that, it doesn't track. Like it's not a one-to-one, and that's why I said too. Like it's all the psychology. Like it's consumer psychology and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, man. Like we've talked this to death.
Yeah,
but,
we can go to the next topic now. I will stop
yeah.
you dragging us back into it. But it's been a fun topic for sure, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. And I mean, I think we had some good things to touch on for sure. I know I'm gonna get cooked in the comments like usual because I got a little spicy.
I'm excited to read them. I'm excited to read them.
Yeah, but I only feel a little bit of remorse for what I said because I was joking. I do feel bad for people if they got cooked. I really do. Even if I said so, like I don't want anyone to lose money, and I don't want anyone to be like in a position because they were sure about something and they lost out because of like their investment not being good. I don't take any joy in that, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just it just got a little spicy for a minute because we're having a good time. But just anyone who's watching, I really do feel bad if you did lose money like that. But
Josh is
just listen to the podcast more often if that's the case, though, because we will. If I will give you little gems, and I will warn you if you listen. So let's go on to the next one.
All right,
Lorcana championships, specifically the championship cards that they've been releasing. Yeah, I just want to touch a little bit on this because we're already at 2 hours here, so we don't need to go too much more into it. But I just want to kind of talk a little bit about the Lorcana tournaments that are going on and the championships and stuff, and the cards they're giving out because it's starting to clarify some of the vision that I think that the Ravensburger had for their card hierarchy and rarity that I had questioned before. What had irked me about the game when it first came out was that there's no texture on their highest rarity of card, Enchanted. Enchanted rarity is like the super rare, hard to pull alternate art, 1 in 96 packs that they released in the get-go of the game that were always really expensive, but they didn't feel like they should be very expensive because the cards, even though they looked really cool, they had no texture. And unfortunately, were very easy to replicate on Wish. And so with no texture, you run into lots of counterfeiting problems. So for me, I didn't know where the vision of this game was when their best selling, their highest selling, coolest cards, they didn't have cool texture on it. So I was always a little wishy-washy. Well, just this last couple of weeks, Lorcana, in their most recent championships, put out 4 or 5 new prize cards, all of which, well, no, not all of which. I think 3 of the 5 of which have incredible texturing and incredible new alternate variant artwork on these cards. And so I've now begun to realize that Lorcana was just creating hierarchies for their prize cards and creating hype within their rarities. And so by having Enchanteds being in the cards that you pull out of the set being flat and non-textured, it gives them the ability to make their regional and their championship cards serialized, numbered, and textured of the exact same or different variant artwork, and it really gives that wow factor. So I do want to flash on screen here. Just I pulled up a picture of what I think is my favorite of the alternate art sort of prize cards, and then maybe a couple others. But this card is so cool. Let's see.
Oh, I haven't even seen that one.
Whoops, not that one. This is the one. Whoops, is it still up there? It disappeared. Hold on, let me get back there. Okay, sorry, technical difficulties. So this Rapunzel card is okay. So first of all, if you're a fan of the podcast, it's no secret Rapunzel is my favorite Disney princess. Like, she reminds me of my fiance, and it's her favorite movie. And I just love the whole. I love Mandy Moore growing up, and Rapunzel is my favorite Disney princess for sure. And so she's also really, really competitive in the game. And so her card, she's never gotten enchanted yet, but they gave her really, really competitive card. This textured, beautiful, like where her hair is coming around. It's like a golden, shiny looking card. Like, this is the prize card for Rapunzel. It's so chef's kiss. I've never thought about buying a tournament card before, but I've been really thinking about buying this one. So this is my favorite of them. But there's also a Mickey. So let me try to find the Mickey. It's like a gold Mickey, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I on eBay, there's a guy with a pristine 10 of the gold Mickey, like a CGC pristine 10, listed for 250K OBO. Definitely don't think he's gonna get that, but it's still pretty cool looking. It's top floor. Yeah, that one.
So you can kind of see in the, is it up on the screen here? I can't see from my portion.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so you can see a little bit that this is a gold Mickey, a Brave Little Tailor card, which is a really popular version of Mickey. Like, I don't know, you have to be a huge Mickey fan to know that one. But it's really, the texturing is incredible on it. And so yeah, they only made 500 of these. They're all numbered. They gave them out at tournaments. This is some of the first prizing that we're seeing besides the smaller tournaments that they gave out, the Stitches, which are going for like $700 each when they first came out. Yikes. But these are crazy. So yeah, I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Do you like them? Do you like the design?
I like the Mickey one a lot. The gold one, like, I'd be interested to see it in person because I've had limited experience with Lorcana cards, and I was kind of bummed out that none of them had texture, like you were saying. So I'd be interested to see what the textured stuff looks like in person.
Look at the Dragonfire too. This one it's got some crazy swirling texture. It gives me Moonbryon type vibes, the swirling type texture they put on these championship cards. Very, very cool though. Very, very cool.
I think I would stick, like, if I was gonna try to invest or whatever, I would still stick to like the Mickey, the Rapunzel, or the Stitch. Like, I would stick with like the popular characters, the waifu, the like that kind of stuff. But dude, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of bummed. I feel like I don't really have time to, but like I want to get into Lorcana. I want to get more into One Piece. Like, I've done very little with One Piece. Like, I've graded like vintage stuff and like Miracle Battle Cardos and stuff like that, but I haven't really done anything with the current card game at all. Same thing with Lorcana. Like, I've only graded, I don't know, 3 or 4 cards from Lorcana. And I'm kind of bummed. Like, I get FOMO a little bit that I'm missing out and not really like involved. It's just, there's so much to get into and so much to track and stuff. But like,
Pokemon's so deep, man. It's such deep hobby. It's hard to get out of that deep pull.
Same thing with Star Wars. Like, I haven't even looked at Star Wars or done anything with that. It's just, I mean, there's so much to do in just Pokemon that it's I don't know. But I did sell like a good chunk of my DBZ stuff in Orlando, so I might buy a little more DBZ, probably like modern DBZ stuff to grade. But yeah, that's about it. But when I see things like that, it'll be interesting to see what these cards start selling for, especially the Golden Mickey, because I think it's like actually limited. It's like a top 4 card or whatever. So
yeah, it's top 4, and there's only 500 of them. They're numbered, so
yeah. So I'd be interested to see what that comes out to. Excuse me, what that comes out to, like sale wise and stuff like that. But hobby is strong, man. Hobby is very strong. There's so much money in trading cards right now. There's absolutely no reason to be bearish. Again, like things are going to be cyclical and stuff like that. Like at some point you have to expect like we'll have a downturn in the market, but it definitely doesn't feel like it's going to be anytime soon. And I really just think that like patience, like having patience and being able to like wait things out and like make smart decisions, I don't know. This stuff pays off. You just have to be patient, and you can't like go. You can't get greedy. You can't go super far out on the risk curve. Like you just kind of have to like stick to your guns, and the hobby will provide. But yeah, it's kind of a random rant, but I think I don't know. I think the fact that so many TCGs are doing well is just another sign that like the hobby is strong. Like MetaZoo obviously is gone, and so that freed up some aspect of play.
freedom.
Yeah, like I mean player money
That matters. You just keeping people down, baby.
yeah, well, not that it's keeping people down, but just like there's some amount of money, right, that came out of MetaZoo and went into whether it was Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, or any of these other TCGs. Like, yeah, but the fact that like a new card game could come out and it could still, I'm excited for Union Arena. Like, I'm interested to see what that does in English because I really want to grade some Jujutsu Kaisen cards. But yeah,
Who's
yeah.
your top grade from? Who are you gonna go after? Is it Satoru Gojo, or what's the top hit in Jujutsu Kaisen?
I mean, I imagine the cards that are going to sell for most are probably the girls in Yuji, but
Which girls are popular in Jujutsu Kaisen? There are not waifus in that, really. It's
I don't
all
really,
the male
probably
characters.
like the Maki chick, or like maybe
Oh,
even,
Maki. I forgot. Yeah, never mind. Maki's
yeah,
total waifu status. Yeah, for sure.
Maki, or like the main one maybe, but I don't know.
No, that girl is not gonna be one that's gonna
She's
sell.
funny.
She's
I'm
awesome. I
sad.
love her, but she's not like a waifu that they're gonna sell. It's not like that's not the selling point. Dude,
Yeah,
Satoru Gojo is gonna be like the #1 hit for sure, easily.
yeah. I think Gojo would be sick. I like Megami. I think he's pretty cool.
He's cool, but yeah,
He's like he's like the Sasuke of the show a little bit.
kinda. He's the wannabe Sasuke. They
Yeah,
wish they could capture that Sasuke lightning in a bottle again.
but I don't know, man. We'll see what happens when that ends up coming out. But yeah, I don't like, to be honest, like I like Pokemon. It's fun to talk about, but like I don't really, I get more interested when like other stuff comes out. Like I'd be more interested in the anime stuff. I wish I could do more with the DBZ stuff. Like I don't have anything that like I'm collecting like long term. Like I actually, hold on, I can actually show these. I bought some stuff from Kai at Collecticon for
Oh no,
PC. Yeah,
dark,
so I
dark.
bought,
It's some DBZ. I knew it. I was gonna say I knew it's gonna
yeah,
be some DBZ obscurities.
vintage DBZ. Got this
Love
one in a
it.
9.5, and then I bought this one in a 9.
Nice.
And yeah, I really like, so like that's the kind of stuff I go, like I have no uh desire to really collect Pokemon. I got this for free. Nesto gave me this Komiya Munchlax because I think if I ever was gonna like collect, it would probably be like Snorlax or Munchlax or something like that. But I don't know, man. Like Pokemon, and even with the business stuff, I'm just like, whatever. Like I'm still excited about it. I don't want to sound like, but it's easier for me to get like burnt out on Pokemon. Whereas like I wish I could do more stuff with, like I said, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, all these other animes, but they're just like so much less liquid. Or even Lorcana. Like I'm not super into Disney, but like it's cool. I like it. I've been playing through Kingdom Hearts and stuff. So if I don't know, if I could like grade some Lorcana, and I'm just ranting at this point. I'm sorry. I woke up really early today. I had to hop on a call. I'm very brain dead right now, but hopefully some of the stuff I've said this podcast makes some sense.
I mean, honestly, I think we've had some of our best conversations this one. We always have good ones, though, so I'm not surprised. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that some of the stuff that's non-Pokemon, you and I can both get excited about because it's new and fresh and it's different. But at the same time, you and I also don't deal in it as much because we both know it's just, even though it's not going to make us as excited because it's not new, the safety of Pokemon is really truly something I go back to time and time again that I value about it. And so, like, to me, even though Pokemon, I may not be jumping for joy every time I see the new release of the new sets, especially recently with some of them, I certainly still get a level of enjoyment out of it. And I'm thankful that Pokemon is what I'm in and it's not something like Cabbage Patch Kids or sneakers or wine sales, because I've sold some of those things before. And while it's doable, I like selling Pokemon. I really do.
Yeah, and I don't ever feel like I get stuck with Pokemon. You know what I mean?
The people I sell to, like the people that I interact with, it's so much better doing it in person now. Actually, and honestly, when I was on Whatnot, I liked interacting with people that way too, because it's very like uh, it was real interaction because it was live, and so like the chat, it's very give and take. You really do have interactions, but when I stopped doing that, it sucked so much, and then I had to. I went back to selling in person again, and I love it so much. The people in Pokemon just make it worth it. That's the thing about it. You hear it's cheesy, it sounds cheesy and all that, but I've sold so many different things and different products to different levels of people. Like I've sold to the 1% when I sold fine wine in the Napa Valley. I sold to the 1% of the world, and I hate them. I cannot stand those customers. No, none of them would listen to me ever now, and none of them would follow me if they knew what I was actually interested in. I had to pretend like I liked like what they were interested in, wine and fine dining and bougie things.
You're such a dude. This is the most egregious cap ever. You are into bougie food,
I
and
appreciate
you are
some of
bougie.
those things,
Oh
but
my
I'm
god,
not one of those.
You were just talking about the French Laundry like 2 or 3 podcasts ago. This is the most egregious cap of all
hang
time.
with those people? Yes. Do I appreciate them and their company? No. Rich people, the 1% are the worst, and I've dealt with them. I've sold to them, so I've
I
been
don't know
around
about
them.
that seems like a pretty sweeping generalization. I think
I could say that there's no one who listens to this podcast who's in the 1%. I promise you. There's
I don't
not
know
a
about
single
that. There's some whales out there. There's some
dude.
whales out
None of
there.
those whales, they're in like the 96% or the 97%. They're not in the 1%. Or I mean, they're in the 4%. That top 4%, not the 1%.
I probably watch a Pokerev or something.
Even Pokerev, bro, he's not even in the 1%. There's nobody in the Pokemon space that's in the 1%. Not a single person.
Really? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to pocket watch, but
okay, maybe there's one or two. There's a couple of people.
I imagine Pokerev is in the 1%.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know what his. I don't want to look up his net worth on live right now, but I don't know that. To me, you have to be in like some crazy dark, like some real dark like level of Illuminati level. So
no,
yeah,
I don't think so, dude.
About the 1%. If you're listening now, and you think it's you. It's not. It's not you. If you think you're in the 1%, you'd know. You don't think you would know.
Okay, so entering the top 1% of earners requires an average annual income of $819,324. That's for the top 1%. That's not that crazy.
A year of income, you have to make roughly a little under $1 million.
Yeah, like 20% under. Like that's not that crazy.
There's not that many people in the Pokemon sphere doing that. Almost nobody.
I don't know, man. Like I think between like when you start doing serious volumes,
having $1 million of inventory and making $1 million a year in income are two totally different things.
For sure.
So holding a collection worth over $1 million, there's a million people in the hobby.
This is people getting taxed at like the absolute highest rate. So if you're making $820,000 a year, 35% of that, 40% of that is going straight to Uncle Sam. So really, you're only making like 450. I mean, which is still great, but like you're really only making like, let's say 475
or so.
500, something like that.
So how many people do you realistically think in the Pokemon hobby make over 500,000, take home over $500,000 a year from their job or their investments or whatever?
I think most of the people doing.
I love you, Dan.
Man, we
Even
went
Dan
down a
doesn't do
rabbit
that,
hole.
bro. I love Dan, and he's the biggest whale I know. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even, net or his profit. You know what I mean?
No, I mean Dan's doing good for sure.
He's doing great, and that's why I'm proud of him. But like, I don't want to throw shade. That's not shade by me saying that. But like, I'm telling you, the 1% is a really high number to make it into that range. The people investing in cardboard.
I think it's easier with a household maybe than like just like the one person. But there's
for sure with a household you could do that with two people, two doctors.
There's a lot of people making a lot of.
You name one household of 2 doctors who invest in Pokemon for me.
Really quick. Let's okay. So like, what was it? The mystery bag. What was it again? It was 300.
Omega mystery bags.
It was They had 300,000, right?
300,000 of them, yeah.
Okay, so if
you have to think about what it costs to make that. You know what I mean?
For sure, but I mean, like, if you were only making,
and they distribute it.
But if you were profiting $2, that's 600 bands right there. You know what I'm saying?
And then split among all the people investing it and made it. So one person didn't make 600 bands on that product.
Yeah. I'm just, but that was
made 100 bands maybe on it, and that took all year to do. And all of their profit went into that, you know?
But that was one play and only one run of the mystery, but I don't know how many.
I think you're overestimating. Maybe okay. Tell me I really want to hear what the chat or what the comment says about this. Do you guys think that I'm underestimating the amount of rich people in the hobby, or Nick is
rich? Dude, the margins are so nuts. The wealth creation, the appreciation is so nuts. It's like every time you deploy X amount of capital, you can I don't like if you think that margins are slim in Pokemon, like you're doing something wrong, dude.
No, I don't think they're slim in Pokemon. Not you, but no, but that's not the argument. I think that there's less. I don't think there's many people making $500,000 a year in Pokemon doing this. I think if they are, and I'll go so far
as not just in Pokemon, but like their overall income.
I was gonna say I would go so far as to say even overall, I don't think there are that many people who are that rich in Pokemon. Besides, like maybe the celebrities who are in it, and then they're in it for other reasons. You know what I mean?
Dude, you start doing like some of these serious volume play, like. I think there's a lot of people out there with some but I don't know.
Tell us in the comments. Am I underestimating, or is Nick overestimating, or is it somewhere in the middle? Tell us what you think in the comments. I really want to know what you guys think about this whole thing, because it's very interesting to me.
This is all probably a top.
How do we know?
This is all probably a top signal. Like we're brain dead bullish. We're thinking there's a lot of rich dudes in the hobby. I don't know, man. Like I think collectibles in general is.
I think it's all broke boys in this hobby. To be honest, it seems a lot of.
I don't think it's. I think it just sticks out more because you feel bad. Like when someone messages you and is like, "Hey, I want this card, but I have to wait till Friday to pay." That hurt. Like that's like, ooh, like that doesn't feel good. But how many sales for that one sale? That's like, that doesn't make me feel good. How many sales happen to where like you don't ever hear from the buyer ever?
Most of them, and I think there's a lot of disposable income being spent, but I don't think that means that they're not broke boys. Just because you have a little disposable income to spend on cards doesn't mean you're not a broke boy. And I'm not throwing shade at the broke boys out there. I love y'all. You guys are the heart of the hobby.
If the hobby is being held up by broke boys,
I'm a broke boy, all right? We're all broke boys to a certain extent. Like, we're not rich. It's okay to say you're not rich. You know what I mean? I don't know why people get so mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's all like relative. Like, if you're still watching this, God bless you. Like,
I've tried to chase you away so many times, and if you're still here,
no, I mean, it's good content. It's just like very spicy, 2.5 hours. Like, rich is relative too to like some people. Somebody making $60,000 a year might be rich because maybe they're making 30,000 or something.
Or maybe they live in California versus they live in Oklahoma. And if you live in California making 60 grand a year, I'm sorry, you ain't rich. But if you live in Oklahoma and you're making 60 grand a year, hey, to some people, you might be considered rich. You know what I mean?
I looked at some of the houses in like Texas, even like in Austin and stuff, which I haven't been to Austin, but like
I'm from Oklahoma, so that's why I said that. So.
Yeah, but like I've looked at stuff in Austin and I'm just like, holy, like you can get crazy houses for like 300 bands in in Texas. So yeah, I mean it's all relative, and yeah, I mean I would never want to live in like super high cost of living. I mean, I like having property, I like having acreage, I like living in the woods. I wish I had better internet, but maybe Elon will come save us with Starlink or whatever. But
Is
yeah,
that what you're counting on, Starlink?
I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, we can still stream and get on lives and do stuff like that, but it's the upload speed is terrible. Like my vlog, I uploaded overnight and it only got to like 88% done or something like that. So it
God
takes,
forbid you decide to stream something, at the same time.
yeah. So well, that's what I'm saying. I have to do it overnight because it would tank the internet. So it's just it's the trade-offs and stuff. But I genuinely think that there's been so much wealth creation, either because booster boxes were going up, PSA 10 cards are going up, raw singles, whatever. There's so much wealth creation that has happened in the hobby, and I'd like to believe that there are a good amount of people that are maybe not top 1%ers, but like financially big chilling in the hobby. I really do.
I
And
think
in
that the
collectibles,
hobby is comfortable. Yeah.
and in collectibles in general, like it's so nuts to me being like somebody that's obsessed with like I listen to so much finance stuff from hedge funds and money managers and family offices and like all the most crunchy like I'm not listening to like what's that one, like Andre Jick or what, like I don't listen to stuff like that. Like I listen to like I don't want to say actual, but like
I don't
people that
listen to those
actually
podcasts. I
people
listen
that
to
actually
entertainment podcasts.
people that actually work in the industry, I guess I should say. And I almost never hear anybody ever talk about collectibles, and I'm not talking about cards, but like collectibles in general, even like vintage cars and art. Like I hear about that so little. And again, like it's not something that institutionally, like Fidelity probably could not, like they have so much assets under management that like if Fidelity tried to deploy money effectively in collectibles markets, like it probably wouldn't work out well. But it's just so nuts to me that I almost never hear about collectible investing or anything like that, because yeah, like the wealth creation potential it's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts. So yeah.
There's a
Anyway,
reason why we're here. We like it in this space. We understand the nuance and we like to play in it. But I think there's a lot of people in like those traditional markets who simply don't understand it. And there's a
yeah,
lot to, I mean, it's a really risky and volatile market. Like, imagine you don't understand what PSA 10 versus raw, the difference between a PSA 10 to raw. You don't understand why there's a difference between this Giratina you just pulled out of a pack, this Giratina V alt art you pulled out of a pack for $450 raw versus the PSA 10 for like almost $1,000. What you think in your head, this is a PSA 10 I just pulled out of a pack. So you send it to get graded, and it gets an 8, and it sells for $350 less than it would have raw. And you're like, what in the actual fuck is going on here? And so to the layman, it is very, very mystical and like, what the hell is going on? You couldn't teach someone. Like, I had some guy ask me, like, hey, could you tell me like what the deal is with grading? Like, how do I send in my cards to get graded? He's like, do I just send it to someone here at the show, or do I do it online? And like, that's a lot, first of all, just to ask someone right out the bat if I actually want to give a real answer. But I did give him a real answer because I had the time to. I was like, you want the truth? I was like, well, if you're talking about Pokemon, you probably only want to send a PSA. And realistically, you're going to want to send an order to them, a bulk order for your first time of like 20 to 30 cards that are a little bit lower value, just so you learn, because you are going to get wrecked. I was like, I want you to take your 20 cards, think of what they're going to be as all 10s, look at what you think looks like it could be a 10, and send them, and then just be prepared for whatever number comes back, because there's nothing I could do to teach you what a 10 versus a 9 versus an 8 versus a 5 looks like that you wouldn't learn from just submitting yourself way better, because all of us have to learn that way, right? And so I had to sit there and tell this guy, like, the whole, yeah, do it online, go make an account, do your first thing, expect to get lower grades, but be happy if you get high ones. use it as a learning experience and just know that that's what we all do. And nobody can tell you one way or the other. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay them, and then it's only going to be an estimate. It's not, they can't guarantee a grade. And so I just kind of told the guy, but you'd be surprised. The regular person doesn't know a damn thing. And they are curious, but they really don't know. So there's a lot of nuance in this hobby.
Yeah, I mean, even at collecticons, people still ask you a bunch of questions and stuff like
And
that.
we are experts, whether we like to say it or not. You are an expert, and even people in the hobby who know the hobby, I think they still don't know it as well as some people who deal with it day in, day out,
Yeah, and I mean, like they could never securitize it, obviously, and like the frictional costs of like buying and selling and fees and all that sort of stuff, like selling fees, and it doesn't like make sense for maybe like sending a piece to like a high end auction house, like a nice piece of art or something like that's a different situation. But yeah, as far as like investing in trading card, it's just not like feasible on an institutional level, but I don't know. It's interesting to think about for sure, and I don't think it's gonna stop. It's funny. Like I think more people are probably investing now than ever, but I don't know. Like I don't have
It's
any numbers.
worrisome, but I think that's true. Yeah.
I don't have any numbers to back that up, but I think whoa, that's huge. What happened there?
I don't know what that's. Whoa.
Oh wait, I think you have to hide that one. Do that one. Oh, and then we have to change it to like go across the bottom.
Okay. Well, anyway.
All right.
What are you watching? As it says. We're going to do a segment that I'm stealing from another podcast I watch, a weekly podcast that just kind of goes into the hosts and what they're watching, what they're excited about. I think this is a fun one because I always watch some new crazy thing, and I just watched The Acolyte. So I wanted to see, what are you watching this week, Nick? You got any time to watch any extracurriculars or anything on the tube, as it were?
We've been watching a show on Apple called Dark Matter, and then we're watching.
What's Dark Matter? What's that about? Like, I haven't heard of that one.
It's like it's pretty like heady, existential. It's basically like a multiverse, but like less Marvel goofy sounding. It's a little more like
I like multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
So now you're speaking my language, baby. So slow down and talk nice to me. What are we talking here? Is it a new show, an old show? Is it a reboot?
Yeah, no, it's new. They come out with like they drop a new episode every week. It's solid. I like it. You'll know if you're going to be into it probably within like the first episode. But yeah, that's on Apple TV, and then we're watching. I think it's season 3 of it's called like Welcome to Wrexham, and it's the what's
the
his
soccer
name?
club.
Yeah, McElhenney and
Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, right.
They bought the soccer team, and so like it's just sort of like a docu-series about them. That's a really good show. I like that a lot. So we've been watching that. We've been watching Dark Matter. Hate to admit it, but we've been watching Jersey Shore. We went and started over on Paramount, and we're watching through the old seasons of.
What do you mean we've been watching Jersey Shore? As if you've already seen it?
Oh, I've seen Jersey Shore multiple times, all the way through in my life. Yeah, 100%. I'm a reality TV. Like I am a connoisseur of reality TV. I love Real Housewives, mainly Atlanta and Beverly Hills. But love me some Real Housewives, Jersey Shore Family Vacation, bro. Like we call it trash. Like we call it like we know it's like terrible TV, but yeah.
Our trash is theme park YouTube, I guess. We watch like theme park point of view YouTube channels as like trash is in the background. But
have you seen Slime? Have you seen the slime stuff on YouTube?
Okay, last time I went to Disneyland, speaking of theme park, they had a slime booth where you like make slime and like I don't know what.
Weird.
And the guy said it was big on social media. That's what I was like, what's this?
I didn't even know about this. My girlfriend showed me, and she's like, look at it, because some of them are like cool looking, and then like they'll scoop out of it, and it's just like satisfying. I don't even know how to explain it.
ASMR type stuff.
Do they have what?
Is it like ASMR type stuff?
I think that's part of it, but it's also like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like it's satisfying. Like they'll do different things. Like it'll be like gravel road, and that's like the name of the slime, and the slime looks like gravel, and then they scoop into it, and it's like it's weird, man. But I asked him like, what do people do with this? And she was like, I don't know, like just play with it, like play. But it's like basically like adult Play-Doh, I guess. I thought it was weird. I'm like, dude, PAL is not cutting. Like in an economy that is at risk, people are not spending $20-$30 on slime.
Yeah,
Like
no, that's how much it cost at the theme park. It was crazy. And the kids were coming over and making their own little petri dish of slime to do God knows what with.
Weird to me,
you
dude.
Can't eat it. You're not supposed to. You gotta go kill you if you eat it.
So weird to me. I'm more bullish on Jersey Shore than I am on slime. So what about you?
I
What
would
do you
agree
watch?
with that. I'm more bullish on Jersey Shore than slime as well. Well, you and I can agree on that. Well, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. But that is good to hear. Can't say I'm gonna go and watch a season. I've never seen a single. I'm proud to say I'm one of those non-reality TV show watchers. I think the only show that I've ever sat through as a reality show was back when Survivor was like big in the zeitgeist, like in the 2000s, the early 2000s. I was in on Survivor and on The Great Race. Those two, like when they were on ABC every week, once a week, you watch with your parents and your family.
Survivor's got some fire. For
But
sure.
other than that, like I didn't. Oh, and The Mole. I was a big The Mole fan. If you
I never
remember
saw
that show, that was
never
a
saw
good
it.
one. But after those, never into reality TV shows. I couldn't get into like the later seasons of Survivor or anything. But nowadays, I'm really still into all the fandom stuff. So I keep up on all the Marvel, all the Star Wars, pretty much all the Disney owned IPs. Even though it pains me a little bit because I used to not like giving money to Walt Disney. Now he seems to get all my money. So it's something I have to come to terms with.
Bro. Like he's the Nazi sympathizer that you were aiming to not support has been replaced by overly
Worse
PC.
Nazi sympathizers, most likely. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who's leading that company these days?
It's the complete opposite. It is very PC. Like
I don't mean like their actual beliefs or anything. I just mean that it's a whole nother set of problems. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, my biggest quirk with Disney is I go to the theme parks all the time, right? And I absolutely love their theme parks. I think it's a fantastic. And in fact, on one of the next podcasts, we're going to be having a theme park themed discussion. I don't want to say too much more, but I love theme parks, right? And Disney, the only part of their company right now that's actually not just hemorrhaging money and losing is their theme parks division. And so what do they do with their budget and what do they do with all their spending? They rob from the theme parks and they give them no budget. They pay their workers nothing. They don't upkeep them like they should. No maintenance on the rides, just the bare minimum. And they give it to their failing departments like movies, like their crappy like cruise lines, all their crappy departments that they have that aren't making money, and they take away from their parks and destinations. And it really sucks because as someone who only really likes the parks, that's the only thing I really like that Disney's doing. Sure, I watch all of the IPs, I watch all the stuff that comes out. Nothing's been great. Like they haven't landed very many great movies or great shows. Like the Marvel MCU is really struggling right now. Star Wars, The Acolyte, that's what I'm going to talk about next. The Acolyte is awesome. So the one thing I will say that Disney did right recently that you guys all have to watch, that's the reason I put this in here, and the what are you watching is you have to watch The Acolyte. And Nick, if you like Star Wars at all, please give it a chance. It is so dark. It is so cool and so different and set in a totally different like time frame as any other or era as any other Star Wars that I think you'll really dig it. The first 2 episodes just came out last night. So that's what I'm watching. I'm watching The Acolyte, and I'm here for it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, dude, I'm so far behind on like Marvel and Star Wars stuff. I wasn't really feeling I went and saw one of the new Star Wars movies in theaters with Rey or whatever, and I was like, yeah, these
they're
suck.
all bad. I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen them all, and I like them enough to watch them, but I'll admit they're all bad in my opinion compared to any of the other stuff they've done. But I tried the Acolyte. It's set 100 years before any of the Jedi even heard the word Skywalker, and so it's not in any sort of a setting that we recognize, and it's really, really good. If you're just gonna go in it blind, that's something you could definitely go into blind, and I think still enjoy the setting.
Okay, yeah, I'd be down to check it out. I need to watch X-Men too. That's the other one that
Okay,
people
well,
are
yeah, X-Men '97
gushing
is
about.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch. I don't have as much time, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Like most of the time, unfortunately, is spent watching trash. So maybe I'll have to replace that with some other options here. But
I get it. We spend a lot more time watching our trash than we probably should because, like, sometimes you just don't want to have to pay attention to something, right? You want to be
yeah, I'm
cooking
usually like
dinner.
working
Yeah,
too.
you
Like
want to be working, you got to be doing chores. You can't
yeah,
be like paying attention to plot nuance. So, but yeah,
yeah.
anyone watching, if you're watching The Acolyte, I want to hear about it if you like that show as much as I do. But really excited about the future of that and the future of that particular series of Star Wars.
Okay, I will throw it in the watch list.
And I think that's probably a wrap, right? We're our
Yeah,
usual. We went
it's a long
over what
one.
we usually
It's a
do,
long one.
so not surprised. But if you made it this far, thank you so much. You're a real one. We appreciate you. We would like to make do another like a collaboration podcast soon. So maybe keep your eye out for that. I don't want to say what it's going to be yet, but we have some ideas. So if you're watching, maybe keep your eye out for something different soon.
Yeah, yeah, that would be. We'll have to reach out and see what we can line up. But yeah, next week on my channel, probably unless Josh is busy. Next week we'll be doing this live on my channel. Oh, and Front Row Card Show finally put out the Seattle information on their website. So if you are interested in coming to vend or hang out or whatever, Josh and I are going to be vending that in, is it October?
August 17th and 18th, and I
Okay,
just
August.
looked at it. It's right next to the hotel is literally like attached to the airport. It's so close to the airport and the convention that it's in the hotel that's partnered with it and everything. So like if you're thinking about flying in for a show, it would be really easy just to fly in for like a day or even a night and do that show. And Front Row Card Show has been really solid, very consistent. And I could say very confidently that it's going to be a good show. Even not being in Seattle and never been before, I can say confidently it's going to be a good show. So
Hopefully I
that's
can sell
exciting.
all my Evolving Skies packs.
Hopefully it'll be at the point where you can start charging up to $20 a pack now because it's like at $12. Now I saw them selling for $12 or $14 at the last show. I was selling mine for 15 and still some sold. I'm not lowering my prices anymore. The next thing I'm going to do is raise the price and it's going to 20. So it's going to stay at 15 until that day happens, but it probably will be a while, but maybe by the Front Row Card Show, we'll see. Those boxes are $1,000. That's easy, a $20 pack.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd probably be right there. I think I'm in for like 8-ish, 8 and change or something like that is what it ended up working out to with the deal I did. So
Yep.
I mean I'm happy with 12, but I'm very happy with 15. And then I got all those ETBs that hopefully I can move some of those too as well. But I'm down to chill on those and wait for those to get to like 175 or 200 too. So yeah, we'll see what
That
happens.
being said, if you've watched this long, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys in Seattle, and we'll see you guys next week on Nick's channel. And thanks for watching.
Adios.